This is the Patriots Catch-22 podcast with Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
I'm Evan Lazar. Lazar.
Hello, everybody.
Nailed it. Joined as always by our Barth. That's a fit. That's a match. No risk it, no biscuit.
22.
Here is Evan Lazar and Alex Barth.
This is a great time of year for us. This is the draft and training camp, I feel like, are our wheelhouse on this show.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is our
It's
favorite
almost like
time
the more
of year.
players we're dealing with at any given point, the better we do.
And because the 91st guy matters on Catch-22. The punter
I
matters.
certainly
on
hope you
Catch-22.
included special teams on your list.
I did. I think this team has got real aspirations. If we get into the playoffs in January and the personal protector screws up the protection and a punt gets blocked in the AFC Championship game, we're gonna have to talk about it. Well, this is a fun start to the show. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
There we
Perfect.
go. That was loud.
I don't know if people could hear that. They're getting the monster trucks ready outside.
Monster Jam is tomorrow night here at Gillette
Yeah, that
Stadium.
was wild.
I don't know if that was a monster
earth
truck.
shattering.
That
Yeah,
had to
what
have been a
was that?
monster truck.
It was a truck with dirt.
It was a
or
truck. I was
monsters.
about to go out there and yell.
You're going to
we
go
got-
yell at a monster
we
truck?
got a
you
show
really-
going
yeah,
on
you-
in here.
Yep, you
Come
sure
on.
were.
Be quiet. All right. Well, as the opening made it sound and set the table rightfully so, Alex, this is our time of year on
Yes.
Catch-22. One of, I would say, this and the draft are our two favorite times of the year on this show, because the 91st guy does matter on the roster. And when I was trying to figure out how we were going to structure the show today, I wanted to make sure that we talked about as many players and as many battles and as many things as we possibly could. So I came up with the idea of we're going to have top storylines. I got about 6 or 7 of them, no pun intended. And then then we're going to do 3 up, 3 down, where we're going to focus a little bit more on the bubble players in the back end of the roster guys, and 3 up, 3 down. So you're going to get your fix of Christian Gonzalez and Kayshon Boutte and A.J. Brown on the top of the show. Then we'll get up to 3 up, 3 down. Then we'll get into your phone calls and your emails and your participation in the show. So it should be a really good show. We have plenty to talk about after watching 3 competitive practices, 4 total if you want to count the walkthrough. But I don't know about you, Alex. Yesterday felt like the first day of training camp. That practice yesterday, 2 hours, shells, which is essentially the same thing as full padded practices at this point in the NFL lexicon. 2 hours under the sun, lots of team drills, one-on-ones for the offensive and defensive linemen, some thudding, some hitting. I mean, I was like, all right, here we go. Because first couple days I was a little bored, which I think is what you get for a lot of different reasons.
Extension of the spring, but they ramped it back up for sure yesterday. And we know even last year, like some of those practices aren't fully padded, but they're in the shells, kind of reflect more of a padded practice under Mike Vrabel. And I think that's a little bit of what we saw yesterday.
Yeah. So some of that's because of the 5-day ramp-up period and the way the NFL structures things. Some of that, though, I just looking at this team right now and the way things currently stand, I can't remember the last time we covered a camp, Alex, where they had pretty much no starting jobs available. Like, there's really no starting roles available on either side of the football. You want to call it, the 11s on each side. I think both of us, barring injury, could tell you the 11 starters on offense and the 11 starters on defense, forgetting about packages and things like that. But the general 11 guys today, that's going to be out there week 1 in Seattle on Wednesday night in the beginning of September. So there isn't as many of those opportunities. They don't have a new coaching staff. They're not trying to break in a number 3 overall pick at quarterback or have a quarterback competition. So overall, it's just been a much different start, much different feel to training camp, I think, for a lot of those types of reasons. The coaching staff is back in its entirety. Drake May is kind of a made man now. We're not worrying about whether or not they have a quarterback. There aren't a whole lot of starting jobs available. So you do find yourself talking a lot about the third tight end, the third running back, depth on defense at all 3 levels, that type of stuff. And I don't know if we're going to get a real barometer, maybe in the joint practices, of the big picture questions with this team, the pass rush,
Yeah.
Drake May's improvement from year 2 to year 3, the young offensive lineman and the offensive line in general improving. Like, those are the things that are going to make or break their season this year. I don't know if we're going to learn any of that in late July or even in August. So that does kind of put a little bit of a damper on training camp. But what have been your overall impressions of the first 4 days of training camp before we get into the specifics?
I think it's been a good back and forth between the offense and the defense. We've had the last, maybe not as much last year, but the previous years before that, right? These camps were dominated by the defense, and that's not what you want to see. You want to see it be kind of balanced. You want to see guys go back and forth. So I think, it's very early, but I do think that's been the case. I think the offense pretty definitively won day 1. I think the defense pretty definitively won day 2. Day 3 is a walkthrough, so you throw that out. And then, honestly, I don't know. Was yesterday a draw? I thought the defense had a really good first half of practice, and then Drake May kind of came back and responded in that second half. So, however you want to, probably lean offense, but that one was pretty even. So, I think it's been a good back and forth, which, again, we haven't seen in a while.
Yesterday was a great day. Yesterday was a really good day at work because I thought, like you said early on, Drake May had a few May sprays, was a little wild with his accuracy. I was watching the one-on-ones mostly, but I heard him 7-on-7. He was a little bit errant with some of his throws too. And then later on in practice, you started to see not necessarily the rhythm or the efficiency that I think we're hoping to see by later in training camp, but the downfield throws started to come. The one to Kayshon Boutte, the one to Hunter Henry, the one to Ramondre Stevenson. If that wasn't a sack, I don't know. It was close, but if he did get it off, that was a great throw and a great extension of the play. You started to see a lot more of the Drake May stuff that we saw last year, throwing the ball down the field and things of that nature. So a great back and forth yesterday, competitive. There was one play where Mike Vrabel had to blow the whistle and Christian Barmore got pretty heated, and it was because he got a little too close to the quarterback, and so the offensive line got a little heated that he got a little bit too close to Drake May for a practice, and like that's the type of intensity and the type of competitiveness that you want to see even this early. I think I think they felt it yesterday a little bit more.
It's been a very competitive few days for the non-padded portion, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that, Christian Gonzalez said it after practice, and then we'll move on to the specific things I wrote down. That loss in the Super Bowl, I think it's lingering in the sense that it's lingering as a stinging feeling for a lot of these guys. Even a guy like Christian Gonzalez, who was the best player on the field for the Patriots in the Super Bowl, he even is still has a bitter taste in his mouth about it. So I think some of the intensity early on in camp is stemming from the fact that they hated how it ended for them last year, and they're trying to correct that this time around. So we'll see if they're able to do that. All right, let's get into the top takeaways, top storylines here from the start of camp. And I think the number one storyline, and I think this has jumped, Christian Gonzalez's contract situation just from a camp perspective. I think we have to start with Kayshon Boutte. And Kayshon Boutte's just red hot start here to training camp. I think he's just been maybe even better than what we saw him look like in the regular season last year. Obviously, the downfield throws have all been there, but he's made a couple of intermediate catches as well. But the play he made yesterday, and the throw and the catch were great, over Kevin Byard was just vintage Drake May to Kayshon Boutte.
Yeah.
Just a really good play all around. I've been lukewarm on this idea of having a 3-receiver set that's a lot of Brown, Boutte, Dobbs because of the overlapping skill sets. I don't love the fact that there's not a speed guy on the field in that grouping. But the more you see Kayshon Boutte emerge, the more that you have to start experimenting, and I think they are trying to experiment or explore ways of having him and A.J. Brown specifically play together. Both guys that have played a lot of X in their career. How do we get these guys on the field together and still remain versatile and multiple? The other thing I would just mention about Boutte is I think we're at the point now, I wouldn't say that he's untradeable, but if you're going to trade him, it has to be for something good. We're out of the world of we're going to take a conditional 6 that turns into a 5th if he plays well. It has to be, in my opinion, at least I would say a 4th round pick, maybe even a 3rd round pick to even have the conversation to make it worthwhile to trade Kayshon Boutte at this point. So if anything about it has changed for me from where we started to where we are 4 days in, I'm starting to see that there is a path forward with all three of those guys on the roster and working it together out there on the field. And I think that the price for Kayshon Boutte in a trade has gone significantly up. Like, I don't think you can just give away Kayshon Boutte at this point.
No, not the way he's playing right now. No, he's going to make it very difficult on him. The reality is, like, somebody's going to have to be the odd man out, and there isn't a clear one. They have 7 legit, NFL caliber receivers. You can't carry 7, but where the chemistry's at with Kayshon Boutte and all of that, and I think he's having an outstanding camp. This is not only has he been the best player on the field for the Patriots, I think this is the best he looked. Saying like, Kayshon Boutte picked up where he left off last year, I think is underselling it a little bit.
Yeah.
He's been that good because the consistency's always been the issue with him. It's been in spurts, and he's been so consistent. But I think even more than that, it's the chemistry with Drake May. And where you look at, he's still building the chemistry with A.J. Brown. He's still building the chemistry with Romeo Doubs. It's such a stark difference. And I think that, Zoe's been talking about this when I've done shows with him. 3rd and 8, you ask Drake May, who do you want in the huddle with you? Who's the first name he's going to say? It's probably going to be Kayshon Boutte. It's going to be Kayshon Boutte and Hunter Henry are going to be the first 2 names out of his mouth, right? So that's really hard to move off of unless you get blown away, obviously. If you can recoup the first you got, right? For trading A.J. Brown. Not that I think they can get that, but no, he's been too good. You can't move a guy that's playing this well.
Yeah, it does, and I maybe this is also part of it. I've kind of learned my lesson from the Jacoby Myers situation. It's not exactly the same, but it does feel a little bit like that, where you have a receiver with your young quarterback that have clear chemistry with one another and clear, they've gone, they played games together, they've had productive seasons together, and even though you might look at it on paper and say, A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs are better players or have had better careers than Kayshon Boutte, you don't want to take the binky away from the quarterback.
Right.
And right now, Kayshon Boutte feels a little bit, even though it's different than like a Brady binky, because a Brady binky would be like an Edelman or a Welker type of receiver. This is like a down the field binky because that's Drake May's superpower, is throwing the football down the field. So it's a little bit different. And to segue it into the A.J. Brown conversation and his slower start to camp, I think a lot of the things that you're seeing with Kayshon Boutte are the trust to kind of just put the ball up and expect him to make plays at the catch point. And I think that Drake May needs to develop that trust in A.J. Brown, because A.J. Brown is a similar type of player. Like, you might look at it and say the corner is kind of in his hip pocket, but if you put it on A.J. Brown's outside shoulder in the bucket, just like Kayshon Boutte, he's going to box the corner out and make the catch. Those are the types of things that I think are coming with that. And, just segueing into A.J. Brown and Romeo Doubs. A.J. Brown specifically, I know there's a lot of numbers out there. Drake May's, 3 for 10 with an interception. Throwing to A.J. Brown is a big number that's getting out there. I feel like I'm seeing a little bit of overreaction with A.J. Brown and Drake May right now. I'm not at all concerned about it. And I just would be really weary of putting out, it's 4 days into training camp. The stats are the stats, but they're misleading in my opinion. I think a lot of the things that are going on with Drake May and A.J. Brown right now are mental more than they are physical. I don't look at A.J. Brown and say he's lost a step, he looks a little slow, he looks like he's a little stiff or anything like that. I look at it and say Drake May threw to his outside shoulder and he curled inside. Or Drake May thought he was going to sit the route down and he kept running. That was one of those the other day. The crosser that Drake May threw a pick on, that Craig Woodson ended up with on day 2, that I put on Drake May. He just threw it high. Like, he's wide open in the middle of the field. So if you take away the practice interception that goes on the stat ledger, and instead you say that Drake May is actually 4 for 10 throwing for A.J. Brown with like a big play on a deep over route, doesn't that that one thing can just change it instantly as to how you might feel about the situation. So I think we are way too early for some of just we're going a little bit overboard here with A.J. Brown, because I think he's built it up, right? He's built up the resume in the cachet to just build your trust that he's going to figure it out and they're going to figure it out.
And we're probably going to hear a lot about how Randy Moss wasn't good in camp in 2007. I'll add this too, credit to Brian Hines, who went back and found this. So yesterday was the 4th day of practice, right? Drake May missed A.J. Brown twice kind of badly in 7s, but then had a couple quick completions with him in 11s. Day 4 camp last year, Drake May throwing to Stephon Diggs. Missed him badly in 7s, then had a couple of quick completions in 11s. It took it a minute with Diggs last year, too. So, like, I guess you got to ask yourself, and you got to be honest with it, like, where is the point where you start to go from it's early in camp, they're building chemistry, A.J. Brown has kind of built up this, he has a reputation, you can give it time, to, like, okay, why aren't they clicking? Why aren't they on the same page? I think once you get into the joint practices is probably when you start to talk about that. So I think it's worth noting. And I'd say the same with Romeo Doubs. And even, like, we'll get to Eli Raridon. Eli Raridon has had an awesome start to camp in terms of he's getting open. Drake May's missed him once or twice, too. So I just think getting on the same page as some of those newer receivers overall is a thing that he's just kind of working through right now.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I would say about the A.J. Brown thing, and I said this yesterday on PU too, A.J. Brown, especially at this stage of his career, is not an elite separator. Like, he's not somebody that's going to create like 3 or 4 yards of separation. Yeah. So you're not going to necessarily be throwing to him where he's really wide open like that, especially against man coverage, especially when he's seeing a lot of Christian Gonzalez, right? Like, that's not going to happen very often. So a lot of the throws that Drake May is going to make to A.J. Brown this year are going to be kind of throwing him open or trusting him to win 50-50 balls. And that's, I think, is something that's always going to be a little bit of a work in progress. Like, there's going to be a lot of comebacks where A.J. Brown just kind of boxes out the guy, or digs where A.J. Brown shields the catch point breaking into the middle of the field, or, go balls like he throws to Kayshon Boutte, where the guy's draped all over him, but he's just stronger and bigger and better at the catch point than the corner. Those are not necessarily things that you're going to see right away. Like, that's going to take time. You said joint practices. I'm not saying don't talk about it and act like your head is in the sand. But I would even say, like, I think I would be willing to take it into the season before I'm really panicked. If we're a couple games into it in September, Seattle, whatever, like, then I maybe start to worry about it a little bit with A.J. Brown. Right now, I think, like I just said, he's built up so much equity in the NFL as an all-pro caliber receiver and one of the best receivers in football that I'm just willing to give him that grace. And I guess maybe it's contradictory, but I don't feel like it is with Romeo Doubs, because Romeo Doubs has never had a 1,500-yard season and made an all-pro team like A.J. Brown. So with Romeo Doubs, like, I see a lot of the similar things where I'm not seeing a ton of juice or separation from him. And that concerns me because he's kind of a guy that they had a big role in mind for. And if I had to say at this point in camp where Romeo Doubs would rank, just based off of what we've seen in practice, in the effectiveness category amongst Patriots receivers, he's definitely behind Boutte.
Yeah.
I think he's behind Pop Douglas. I think Pop Douglas has had a better start to camp than him.
Getting lost, I think, in Kayshon Boutte's hot start. Pop Douglas also been very good and very involved. Is he their third or fourth most used wide receiver?
Yeah, well, because he brings, and we've talked about this, he brings a different flavor. He brings a different brand of football.
Well, I'm just saying when they go to, so when they're in 12, right?
Yeah.
It's mainly A.J. Brown with either Doubs or Boutte.
Right, they're base receivers.
Right.
Or their base
when they go to 11, Pop's usually the third guy. I know you mentioned they've done some with those other three as kind of that, I don't know, we'll have to come up with a name for that package.
The Big 11.
The wide receiver jumbo, Big 11 could work, something like that.
I think Big 11.
Okay, well, but what about when Matt Collins comes on the field? Bigger 11?
I guess that's true.
But
then maybe that's still Big 11, because, like, we're replacing you're going to be replacing Kayshon Boutte with
you
Matt
get my
Collins
point. Like, they've done a little bit of that, but whether it's Brown and Doubs or Brown and Boutte, I don't know how much they've done of Boutte and Doubs, but when it's those guys on the outside, Pop Douglas is the starting slot receiver right now. Like, he's probably technically like the fourth guy on the depth chart, but he's their third receiver.
Well, and I think it stems back to something that I've been beating the drum about, is he offers a different skill set and a different level of speed that if they'd have...
And quickness.
A.J. Brown, Matt Collins, Kayshon Boutte, Romeo Doubs as their four guys that they're kind of rolling with, it's just a little bit slow. It is what it is. So Demario Douglas, his explosiveness, his quickness that you mentioned, even his vertical stretch ability, his speed slot ability,
which I think is underused.
Yeah, like, those are all elements that are just bring a different flavor to the table, and I think that they see it that way too. But to go back to the Dobbs point, Booty definitely. Pop, I think definitely, I would say. I'm still saying that A.J. Brown has been better than Romeo Dobbs, even though it hasn't been great for A.J. Brown.
Yes, I would agree. That's kind of by default.
Like Matt
yes.
Collins and Kyle Williams, that haven't played a ton. They haven't gotten a ton of looks. But at best, I think you're saying that he's your fourth most effective receiver right now. And I think at times we've seen them just say, we're going to go Booty, Brown, Douglas, because those are the three guys that have earned the reps.
Right.
And so I'm not saying that I'm giving up on Romeo Dobbs, but it's definitely been a slower start. So I guess I'm underreacting to A.J. Brown and I'm overreacting to Romeo Dobbs.
I kind of put them in the same bucket, and that doesn't mean they'll end up in the same place. It's just it's something to watch. The chemistry's maybe not just there yet, but, he can get the chemistry with A.J. Brown, but maybe not get there with Romeo Dobbs or vice versa or whatever. So I think they're both in something to watch category.
Yeah, I would agree. I was hoping to see, we were kind of talking up this Romeo Dobbs is the possession receiver, the chain moving receiver. Brown's the big play guy. We just haven't seen that hit yet quite the way I think that they wanted to. Next one here, going over to the defense after some offensive points. We got to talk Christian Gonzalez a little bit.
Yeah.
I think my biggest takeaway, and we can talk about the contract and what he said yesterday too, but he just looks terrific. I mean, he looks like he's in midseason form.
If Booty, so I said this the other day, Booty's probably been the best player in camp. If it's not Keyshawn Booty, it's Christian Gonzalez.
And I feel like I keep saying that, but quarterback notwithstanding, I think quarterback's a different position, different thing. Every year they bring in new guys. Last year their big ticket item was probably Milton Williams or Stephon Diggs. This year it's A.J. Brown. And Christian Gonzalez, to me, just keeps being the best player on the field in a Patriots practice.
Right.
Not, quarterback withstanding. So I think Christian Gonzalez just looks like he's terrific. It looks like he's in midseason form. If there's one thing I would say to put on the A.J. Brown thing too, he's not going to go up against one of the best corners in football every single week, right? So, if Christian Gonzalez isn't the best corner in football, he's the second or he's the third best corner in football. And so A.J. Brown is going to see lesser competition at some point than what he's seen. I give Gonzo a ton of credit. I think a lot of players would have held in at the very least. I think a lot of players in his situation would have held out entirely. I think a lot of players would have came into camp and gone through the motions or maybe even been out of shape.
Yep.
And he has done the total opposite. He has basically said, I'm coming, I'm healthy, I'm in shape, I'm going to practice in full. We'll see if he continues to do that as almost like a way to entice them to give him the contract more.
Right.
Instead of going the other direction. I just give him a ton of credit for all of it. How he's handled it with us, how he's handled it on the practice field, how hard he's been practicing, even though he doesn't have that long-term security yet. I don't think a lot of players would have done the same. And he's done it. So kudos to him.
Yeah, he's been excellent in every way. And, we'll see when the pads come on if he continues that level of participation. But he's shown up. He's played well. I think he said all the right things. Vrabel mentioned he wants to be a captain. This is captain-like behavior and obviously captain-like level of play, too. So you couldn't, outside of the contract actually getting done, I guess, you really couldn't ask for any more from Christian Gonzalez through 4 days of camp.
No, I mean, we've seen it across the NFL with guys that mostly nowadays they hold in because they don't want to get fined for not being there. So they hold in, but it happens all the time. And a lot of these guys at that position specifically, younger players looking for their second contracts have had hold-ins, and Christian Gonzalez has just not done that. So kudos to him on that. On the contract, couple of things. Yesterday, Denzel Ward gets a little sweetener, gets a little extension. It's only a 2-year extension. He's a little bit older. But the number I thought was very telling, $31.1 million, which is $100,000 more than what Trent McDuffie signed with the Rams earlier. You texted me, just double it, right? Because it's a 2-year, $62 million contract, or 62.2.
I didn't text you that.
Yeah, you did.
No.
Yeah, you did.
No. You think I would have done that math?
You did do that math. I'll show it to you.
Show me. I don't think I texted that to you.
I was shocked that you were able to do that math. You said, just double it.
I thought I just texted you and said, whoa.
No. I'm telling you. Go back and look.
I'm looking.
He's so surprised that he did math, Ace, that he doesn't even believe me that he did math.
Oh, no. You sent me something and said LOL.
Yes.
And then I replied with the Denzel Ward tweet and said double LOL. I meant like you were laughing at something, and I said this is also funny.
Here, I'm trying to give you credit.
I was so confused by what you said.
I thought you did the math, and you were like,
No,
I get it.
okay.
I thought you did the math. I was giving you credit for actually knowing math for once.
No, I just was like, it was
So
kind of
Barth isn't good at math, and you're not good at comprehension. It's okay.
right.
You guys
It was just kind of like weird news back to back.
So
Because who was expecting Denzel Ward to reset the market?
yeah, so Denzel Ward barely, but reset the market.
Yeah, kind of.
So
In one metric.
Trent McDuffie is definitely more in the category of Christian Gonzalez, just where he is in his
Right.
career. But that $31 million a year mark is the top of the market right now for corners.
31.1.
Yeah. So are we talking about Christian Gonzalez being 32? Are we talking about him wanting even more than that? Devin Witherspoon obviously involved in this as well. But it seems like from just a pure numbers standpoint, the number to beat is 31.1 at the moment. Now,
Yeah.
am I saying they're going to get it done if the Patriots come in at 31.2? Probably not. But if the Patriots come in closer to 32 or over 32, then I think that we're talking about that. And I understand people always look at it and say, well, why do you care about the contract? It's just money. I don't care about the contract. I'm just telling you, if I was the team, if I was negotiating on behalf of, the Patriots as Elliott Wolf, I would say, well, the market, Christian, is 31.1. Denzel Ward just reset the market at 31.1. McDuffie a month ago got 31 from the Rams. So we're going to give you 31.5 or 32. Right. That's where it's at. So there's that piece of it. There's what he said to the media yesterday. But what do you think in terms of that number being set at 31 right now?
I mean, you look at, I think you take Ward out of it. That's a weird one. I didn't realize he had no money left on his contract. This is the second time he's broken the record. His last contract broke the record. But there's no guaranteed money for this year. When you went from Gardner and Stingley to McDuffie, it went up $1 million.
Yeah.
And that's year to year, right? So I think McDuffie's kind of in his own window. I think it goes up $1 million again. I think the number's probably 32 or 32.1. And then I think whoever signs first and second, and maybe it goes from 32 to 32.125. So it's a bigger increase, right? You're winning by the amount you win by is slightly increasing over how much the last guy won by, that kind of thing. I wonder if there's going to be some of that too. So my guess is it's like 32. It's 32 and then like 32.125.
Right.
Is what the two deals are going to end up being.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, obviously they're younger than Ward, so that's a big part of it.
Yeah, you got to throw the Ward one out of it.
I just think that
I honestly don't think it impacts it. I don't think the next guy was going to sign at 31.1 to begin with. I think whether it is Gonzalez or Witherspoon who's going to be 32, I think the Ward thing, although technically, yes, that one part of it got reset because the total value obviously was not a record. I don't think the guaranteed money was not a record.
That's why I thought you said double it, because 62.2 with like 50 something in guaranteed money is what Ward got, right? So if you double that, we get to about 124.4 with about 100 million or so guaranteed.
Yeah, but what's
and
the
that's
AAV on that?
That would be 31.1.
I think it's going to be 32.
So at 32, we're talking about, somewhere.
Maybe the guarantees stay the same.
We're talking about
some more cushion,
4-year contract for 132 million in total value and probably around 110 in guaranteed money.
Say that again.
4 years.
Yeah.
132 million guaranteed or a full value.
That's 33.
That would be 32.
No, 128 over 4 is 32. I just did it.
I did the math bad.
Yeah, it happens. Math is hard.
When I go quick, it's not as good.
So yeah, 128, probably just over 100 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the deal.
Yep.
So that's where we're at with Gonzalez. I thought the media obviously peppered him with a lot of contract questions yesterday. He tried to keep it out of the media as much as he possibly could. Mr. Kraft, said what he said on the first day of training camp. I know that your station, I'm sure, is talking a lot about that and that back and forth. But for the most part, I think when you get down to it, the number that the market's at right now is 31. And
yes.
Ward, just like Patrick Surtain last year. So Stingley and Sauce Gardner signed their contracts at around 30.
Yeah.
And then the Broncos gave Patrick Surtain a sweetener to get him to 30.
Right.
Because that had been the market. So when McDuffie signed for 31 and Ward came calling and said, I have no money left on, guaranteed money left on my contract, what did they do? They gave him 31.1.
Right.
So the veterans are coming right in over that number to just have them be at the right place in the pecking order. Like you said, the new guys, that's a different number. That's a different situation. Let's stick on defense. I have a couple more offensive ones, but we're on defense now. Yesterday we saw Carlton Davis and Charles Woods leave practice. Looked like Carlton Davis maybe was, I hate to speculate, but maybe like a hamstring or a lower body injury or something like that. Charles Woods, I didn't see it happen live, so I'm not exactly sure, but he was being helped off, so I think maybe that was also lower body related. So those two guys leave practice. I got two things on this. One, we have a lot of questions about cornerback depth.
Yeah.
I think we're about to find out if any of these corners on the back end of the depth chart can play, because they're all going to start to get some reps opposite Christian Gonzalez. And yesterday we saw Kendall Vildor for the most part once Woods left, but maybe, Prunty or Minor, one of those guys get some run as well. The hierarchy I built out, came up with a little bit of a hierarchy here. I think the Patriots have some hierarchy or some tiers. I love my tiers.
Yeah.
They have some tiers to the cornerback room right now. Tier 1, obviously Gonzalez, Jones, Davis. I think those are the tier 1 starter,
starters, yeah.
S tier guys. I think Charles Woods is in his own tier. I think Charles Woods is
top backup.
Clearly the top backup fourth corner, not only because he was the first guy up yesterday when Carlton Davis went down, but I'm sure you've noticed they've also been repping him a lot in the slot with the backup defense, which tells me that they want to cross-train him at both inside and outside corner so that if Marcus Jones gets hurt, then Charles Woods has...
Then he's just your fourth corner across the board.
Right, because last year he came in late. So I think that they got him up to speed at outside corner, but he wasn't up to speed so much at slot. So now I feel like Charles Woods is like, we always talk about the Jason McCourty role. It feels like Charles Woods is kind of elevated into that true fourth corner, rotational guy.
Yep.
The third tier then is the guys that I think that are competing for the roster. Guys that are going to be the fifth corner, maybe 6 if they carry 6. Vildor, Minor, Prunty. I think those 3 guys are probably competing for 1 or 2 roster spots at most.
Yeah.
So I think Woods, as long as this injury isn't serious, I think Woods is safe. I think Woods is going to make this team, along with the top 3, obviously. Yeah. And then those other guys, I think, are kind of vying for that 5th spot.
I wonder if Vildor is a little closer than you're maybe giving him credit for. He got a lot of run this spring, and
he did.
Yeah, I just wonder if he's close. Yeah, the younger guys, I thought Marcellus Dial might get some more run. I thought Karan Prunty might get some more run. I'll be curious when they get into more special team stuff, how he's involved, because I do think that we talked about this. I do think there's a chance that he makes the team just as a special teamer, as kind of like a Brandon Bolden type, where maybe he can give you a couple snaps at corner here and there if you need, but he's really in it for the kicking game. But yeah, haven't really seen any of those younger guys step up. It's mostly been Woods, like you said, and then Vildor.
The reason why I had Woods a little bit ahead of Vildor is not necessarily usage, but just effectiveness. Like, I think Woods has just been better than Vildor. Vildor has gotten beaten a few times, and I thought Woods, even though maybe some of it was chemistry related, I thought Woods had some really good reps against A.J. Brown yesterday after Carlton Davis left. So I just thought in general that Vildor's been a little bit up and down. I thought Woods has been pretty effective, so I had him in a tier higher by himself there. That's cornerback depth. We're going to see. We're going to see a lot of Woods if he's healthy, Vildor, Minor, Prunty, all those guys. If Davis and Woods are both missing, then we're going to see a lot of that tier 3 group.
Yeah.
And whoever can practice the best out of that group, I think, is going to end up making this team.
I still want to see a little more of Dial.
Yeah.
I thought he had a good summer last year. We know he can play in the slot. It's just, where's he at coming off that torn ACL?
Yep, fair enough. Last note I had on defense, then we'll move back over to the offense. I have a dream of them being a 3 safety team and them playing that 3 safety package.
They've been doing a lot of it.
They've been doing a lot of it. I don't know how effective it's been. And I feel like my dream is maybe slowly dying a little bit.
Yeah, and they've been trying everybody, too.
Because I don't think that Mike Brown's had a great start to camp.
No, and then Del Pettis got a shot, and then John Saunders got some reps there, so
they're trying to find it.
Through.
In theory, it's a great thing to have. And we talked to Byard the other day, and I thought he summed it up exactly how you would, but it's always good to hear it from an all-pro safety versus you or me. Byard said, well, when you play teams that play a lot of 13 or 12, the Rams are kind of doing that a lot, and everybody's taking that from the Rams, and it's good to have that package in your back pocket to be bigger and to match up against multiple tight ends. But in order to do that, you have to have the horses to do it.
Right.
And if that package is just not effective, or if the drop off from having, let's say, Marcus Jones on the field or Christian Ellis on the field is so big to having Mike Brown on the field, well, it's great in theory to say, let's play 3 safeties, but you got to have 3 playable safeties. And right now I'm a little concerned that they don't have 3 playable safeties.
I'm just curious, what do you thought of Byard so far in camp?
Maybe, he obviously gave up the big play to Booty yesterday. Maybe a little bit underwhelmed, but I think the biggest thing with him, and I said this when they signed him, he's not a man coverage guy anymore.
Right.
Like, you don't want to play him matched up against receiving tight ends or slot receivers. Like, he doesn't have, I don't think he's got the play speed to hang with that anymore. He, to me, looks on tape last year and in camp so far this year, he's end of career Devin McCourty, right? Like, you want him.
Just let him ball hawk.
Yeah, you want him up top. You want him being a field general back there. You want him putting everybody where they're supposed to be. And then when the ball is snapped, he's the post safety help or the deep safety help, and he's over the top, in ball hawking. I think that when you see him come down in the box, get matched up against, pass catching tight ends and things like that, last year that was a little bit of a struggle. I wouldn't expect it to be any different. So there's that too. Like, in theory, you could put Byard or Woodson in that like slot safety role and then have a third free safety,
right?
The Deron Harmon that can play that role. But I don't think that that's Mike Brown or John Saunders. Like, that's not, they're bigger guys. That's not really their specialty either. So when I look at teams that major in these 3 safety packages, Baltimore, the Chargers, the Seahawks, like, what do they all have in common? Kyle Hamilton, Derwin James, Nick Amenwari.
Like that hyper athletic.
They have a freak. Like, they have a guy that can just play that role at an extremely high level. Not that means the Patriots are like not going to win the Super Bowl because they don't have a good third safety.
Right. They're just not going to win the Super Bowl playing that way.
Yeah, exactly.
My thing with Byard has been, I feel like there's been a bunch of big catches. You mentioned the one with Booty, the one with Henry, where I've written down, I find myself, I keep writing, good coverage from Kevin Byard, but so-and-so comes down with the ball. So, he's not getting beat. He's in the right place at the right time a lot. He's just kind of losing at the catch point. And maybe, look, there could be an element of they're not wearing pads and
he doesn't want to take guys to the ground.
Right. You got to be a good teammate. You don't want to be hurting guys in July. That's not smart football. But it just kind of has been, it has been weird that I feel like I like what I've seen from him, but he's also given up like a number of catches.
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job in the last Forge and Foxborough episode too of just highlighting how much of a leader he's going to be for this team. So I think that that's a big part of it too with Kevin Byard. But I said it at the time when they signed him in free agency. He's no longer a guy that I want matched up against tight ends on third down.
Yeah.
I don't want him in those types of foot races running across the field with slot receivers and tight ends. I don't think that that's his forte anymore. I don't think that's in there anymore. A lot of the same way it wasn't for Devin McCourty in 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
That didn't mean Devin McCourty wasn't a useful player or a good player. That just wasn't what he was doing anymore. So, you mentioned the play to Henry. Not that Henry's a burner, but that's a really good, skilled tight end, good receiving tight end. I don't know if Byard's covering those guys anymore for them. Like, when they play Buffalo, I don't really want to see him on Dalton Kincaid on a third down. Like, that's what you have a young buck in Craig Woodson. Like, go put him on Dalton Kincaid if the safety has to cover the tight end. So we'll see about the 3 safety package, but I'm starting to lose a little hope there. I don't know if they have the horses for it yet. Maybe that's a next offseason thing, can't do everything sort of thing. If the third safety is your biggest concern, then you don't have a whole lot of concerns, I would say.
Right.
A couple more on offense, and then we'll do 3 up, 3 down. We've gone 40 minutes into the show and have not really talked too much about Drake May.
That kind of camp.
That kind of camp. But I do want to talk a little bit about it, just our thoughts on it, because I do think he's started a little slow in some of these practices. He's had a little bit of the sprays at times in some of these practices. But the downfield throws, the big time throws, as PFF would chart them as, those dimes are still there. I mean, we saw it yesterday. We saw a couple of them towards the end of practice yesterday. So that's still there when they want it and when they need it. Maybe the short intermediate stuff has been a little bit dicey We'll see when he develops some of the chemistry
Yeah.
with those guys. Obviously, no concern level whatsoever. But just what has been your impression of Drake so far?
Yeah, I mean, definitely has started some practices slow. He did this last year. He's done this, I think, all 3 years. And there was the thing we talked about a couple years ago with him maybe coming out too amped up for certain games, and maybe that's happening for these practices because every miss is high and or long.
Right.
I don't think he's had one underthrow in camp.
No.
Everything's been too much. So maybe he just needs to settle in. The big thing for me, not even what he's doing, and obviously with throwing the ball, and obviously the deep ball throwing is great, just the confidence in his decision-making on the field, the confidence he's handling himself with between plays, talking to us, all of that. This was something I talked about a little bit in the offseason that I don't think he wasn't a leader last year. I don't think he was a bad leader, but you had these big veteran voices in that room. It was Stephon Diggs giving the pregame speech on the field to everybody, not Drake May. And I think that if that's what comes natural, like, great, I'm not knocking May for that. There is something to be said for the starting quarterback recognizing, hey, this guy has everybody's ear. I'm going to let him do it. I don't need to be that guy. But Diggs is gone. You know, Morgan Moses, who know how much longer does he have here? Some of those other veterans are moving on. Hunter Henry's in a contract year. So I don't think Drake May was a bad leader last year, but he wasn't exactly at the front of that line either. And I think this is the year, especially after the season he had, that, like, hey, man, you got to get to the front of that line. Like, it's got to become his team. Was it, like, as a leader, it was Stephon Diggs' offense last year, maybe more than Drake May's. And I think that's just the way the cards fell, and that's fine. But now that's got to change. And, like, how does Drake May look stepping up into that role? And I think so far that box has been checked emphatically. I think he's been great in that regard.
Yeah, so I would agree with your assessment in terms of his actual play.
Yeah.
Feels more like his accuracy has been a little bit inconsistent, but I haven't had any concerns about his decisiveness. And I feel like he's making the right decisions and he's getting the ball out on time. It's not like these plays look like train wrecks or anything like that. It's just he's been a little bit off at times with his accuracy. So his mastery of this system and Josh McDaniels' offense, the only time that I jotted down that I was a little bit, just caught the eye on one is Carlton Davis. I think it was day 2.
Yeah.
They blitzed Carlton Davis from the cornerback spot and he came in clean and would have clocked him in a game. So I didn't love to see that. Like, I would, that's a big part of his maturation is going to be protections and seeing things pre-snap and getting the ball out of his hands. But I think he's been decisive. I think he's read the field well. He just hasn't always been super accurate at times. So I would rather that because he'll get control of his accuracy. It's early.
Yeah.
Once he throws more, once he gets into a rhythm more, I'm not concerned about that. If he was back to kind of holding the ball and looking like a young player again, that would have been more concerning to me than, he kind of sprayed that one a little bit or that, missed that guy on this one or whatever. So, I really think that, that I'd rather take that. Now, I think it does take him some time, though. I think it takes him some time in games. I think it takes him some time in practice. The beginning of yesterday's practice was a little dicey. By the end of yesterday's practice, he was kind of lighting it up.
Yeah.
I
thought the second half of yesterday's practice, he was excellent.
Yeah, hey, that's just the way it is with him, I guess. You mentioned Eli Raridon.
Speaking of, we got a tiny bit of breaking news.
Okay, what is it?
Madden has Hunter Henry. They just released their top 10 tight ends. Where would you put Hunter Henry? Where would you rank him among NFL tight ends?
In the 8 to 10 range.
8th.
There we go.
They have him right between Sam Laporta and Tucker Kraft. He's an 86 overall.
Yeah, when Jeremy Fowler did his list and he only received votes, I was a little surprised by that. I mean, this is a guy last year that statistically was a top tight end by easily.
Yeah.
Now, he's not the best blocker. So if you're pulling people that really care about that sort of thing, maybe that's a factor. But top 10 in receptions, yards, all the advanced stuff that I love, all of it. So I don't know how you can't put him in the top 10.
It's McBride, Kittle, Bowers, Kelsey, Mark Andrews, Dallas Goedert, Sam Laporta ahead of him. I would say I have no problem with that. I think that's about right.
So Bowers is in that you need to stay healthy for us to rank you higher category.
He's in 93 overall. That's probably part of it. Yeah, McBride's in 99.
Yeah, because I think Bowers is the best tight end in football when he's healthy.
McBride was really good. And you think about that there was nothing else going on with that offense.
He was really good.
He was able to do what he did. Real quick while we're on it, we're transferring from quarterbacks.
Yes.
Madden has Drake May 6th, 92 overall.
I had him
Stafford,
sixth.
Allen, Burrow, Jackson, Mahomes ahead of him.
I think that's fair.
I think that's exactly right.
When he does it again.
Yeah.
If he has an MVP season this year, and
Bumps up.
he goes up. But those guys have, kind of like what we were talking about with AJ Brown, they have equity. They've done it year over year. A guy that I think that could be knocked out of there, in my opinion, is Burrow. Like, I think Burrow needs to stay healthy.
Burrow third, 97 overall.
He's great, but he needs to stay healthy. And even though he's great, and I know their defense was historically bad a couple years ago, but he threw for all these yards and all these touchdowns, and they didn't win very many games. So at some point, Burrow needs to get back to the Burrow that was going to AFC title games.
Speaking of, Dak Prescott ahead of Justin Herbert and Caleb Williams.
So Dak is kind of a film watcher truther.
Okay.
So the film watchers really like Dak.
Well, that's how they do the Madden ratings.
Yeah, those guys, the film nerds, not the analytics nerds as much, but the film nerds, the true junkies. Dak's tape is really, really good, and like his mastery of that.
But isn't Herbert like that too?
I would say Herbert's is more like the highlights are really, really good. Like the good throws are like some of the best. You can stack those up with any quarterback in the league. I think Dak's consistency is underrated. Like Dak's a really, really good player.
One more while we're here.
Yeah.
AJ Brown, not a top 10 receiver according to Madden.
How much does Madden still put on speed? Because my Madden...
So actually playing the game, speed is everything. When they put the overall ratings together, it's not as weighted. Like, you can be nasty with a 75 overall receiver who has 98 speed.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's not how they do it. The guys they have ahead of them, Chase and JSN are 99 overalls. Then Puka, Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have Justin Jefferson 5th. That feels a little low.
Yeah. Another guy that didn't have the best season last year.
Who did he have throwing him the ball?
I know. I'm just
CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Devonta Smith, Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans.
Okay. Mike Evans is a little high.
I'd put AJ Brown ahead of Mike Evans and maybe even Terry McLaurin. Those are the two that I look at. Now, I'm trying to think of who else is missing there.
I mean,
I
Mike
feel like
Evans
there's probably
is great.
another name.
Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer in my mind, but that's because of what he did in the past.
Yeah, you got to be
not,
realistic about what he is.
It's not necessarily because of what he's going to do this year. Okay. I can live with it. I mean, I don't know. I think that the reason why I brought up the speed thing is because my Madden is Bethel Johnson's the best player in the game.
Right, but his overall's not hot. That doesn't reflect his overall
Bethel
rating. No, trust me, it's still kind of like that. They claim this year it's different. We'll see.
Bethel Johnson was like Randy Moss in Madden.
The trick was, Madden 04, you make Bethel Johnson your backup quarterback. Because then he was the holder on the field goal, so you could run the fake field goal where the holder takes it and just peels out, and it was an auto touchdown.
So that was the play. You're an annoying Madden player.
When I was 8.
I'm not saying, I didn't punt. I'm not saying to play Madden like a real NFL game, but doing little gimmicky things like that in Madden is...
No, when I was 8, it was fun. I just wanted to rush for 1,000 yards in a game with Bethel Johnson.
You still do that, let's face it.
I did have Madden 04 open semi-recently.
There you go.
Needed the nostalgia hit.
Okay, let's get back to tight ends.
Yes.
So
thank you for humoring me.
Eli Raridan, we buying it? We in? Some hype. The hype train's rolling.
I am buying that he is going to be a legit threat as a receiver, relatively speaking. I think he would be. I think as a receiver, he represents an upgrade over Austin Hooper. Yeah. I think that was there on the college tape. I like what I've seen from him so far in his camp. He does have to stay healthy. But you don't I did not realize until seeing him in person, in plays, he's massive.
Yeah.
He is
tall, lanky guy.
Big. He's got that power forward build. Hunter Henry's not a small human being by any means. For a tight end, he's about average size, right? Eli Raridan is big for a tight end.
Also has big hands.
Huge hands.
Yep.
So there's that. Now, the caveat is, let's see the pads. And let's see him as a blocker.
And some of it's been coming with the twos, too, to be fair, as well.
Yeah, but as the second tight end, he's not going to be drawing top coverage. I'm kind of okay with that. The bigger issue for me is, can he block? Because what you really want out of that pick, and what I think they really wanted, maybe with Julian Hill more so than him, is to be able to play true 12 personnel. Not 12, but we're definitely passing but this guy can't block, or not 12, but the second tight end's an offensive lineman, so we're going to run the ball. He's not a receiving threat. True tight end can be accounted for either way, 12.
I'm not sure we're there yet.
So it's going to be the blocking, right? And I don't think Raridan was a negative blocker in college. I think as far as a college tight end goes, he's okay. The gap between blocking as a tight end in college and blocking in the NFL, at that position specifically, is much bigger than the gap between the receiver responsibilities in college and the NFL for a tight end. So, like, that's a much bigger question that he has to answer. If he shows up and he starts blocking his ass off, though, I mean, the hype train's out of control at that point. That's going to be unbelievable, but I'll have to see it. I will say, though, I had talked about, okay, like, give it a couple weeks, see what the young guys are doing, then go and sign a veteran if you need one. Where are you at with that right now? Because Arkin hasn't been terrible either.
I need to see Arkin in pads.
You need to see him block, but like,
yeah, because I guess I'm a little bit more.
I'm getting a little
cautious.
ahead of things, admittedly, but
I'm a little bit more cautious with Raritan's blocking.
Okay.
Because I think in college he had some really good blocking tape, and he also had some not so good blocking tape.
Well, I'm saying, like, you asked me, right? You said the hype train's getting going.
It is. I mean, it's going.
What I'm saying is, let's see the blocking. Like, if the blocking is even average for what he's given as a receiver, let's say he's just an average blocker for a rookie tight end, combined with what he's doing with receiving, where should the hype train be?
High. If he's average. Because, well, I think the biggest thing to me is right now is I feel like they would be a little bit predictable tight end wise. Because I think Arkin's a good blocker, but not a great receiver. And Eli Raritan's a good receiver, but not a great blocker. And I would also put Hunter Henry in that Raritan category, a good receiver, not a good blocker. So if you're coming out of the huddle and you're the opposition and you see Henry and Raritan on the field, I don't think that's going to happen more than just third downs and like 2 minute and things like that.
So what I'm asking is, how good does Raritan have to be as a blocker, and can he realistically show you that, do you think, in this camp to, okay, maybe this is more real 12 personnel?
Maybe in the joint practices and like we'll see who plays against who in the preseason games. But I think the biggest thing with Raritan is I think he has to be a better blocker than Henry. Like, because I think Henry is kind of not a good blocker at all either. So if both those guys are too weak to play inline, like someone's got to play inline.
Right.
So if both those guys are really struggling inline, then there goes any of your outside runs, right? Or at least to the tight end side. Maybe.
Do you think he can be a better blocker than Hunter Henry?
Yeah, in time, but I think that he needs
this year.
Skinless chicken. I think he needs to be in that NFL strength and conditioning program. I don't know if this year is I don't know if it's going to happen for him this year.
Okay.
It might be a year or two leap kind of thing that we're talking about next summer. Like, does Eli Raritan look bigger? Does he, has he added weight? Has he added mass to his frame? Whereas with Arkin, I think Arkin can step in pretty early on and be a pretty serviceable blocker for them, and maybe allow Hunter Henry to flex and move around a little bit more. But then I think that you're pigeonholing Arkin is going to be like Dwayne Allen, right? Like Patriots Dwayne Allen.
Yeah.
Where like he's going to be leaked out into the flats on the backside of the progression, and he's going to catch like 3 passes the whole year. So you're a little bit predictable. Like that's going to be your base offense. You're going to run the ball. It's going to be a lot of play action. I don't think it's going to be a lot of drop back. Whereas with Raritan on the field, I think it's going to be a ton of drop back. Like that's going to be your drop back passing game. So we'll see. But I'm encouraged with Raritan for 2 reasons. I think the catches in traffic that he's made or with like coverage on him have been impressive. So even though this play strength, I'm a little bit concerned as a blocker, he's flashed some good play strength at the catch point, which I think is you have to do that at a tight end. Like you're going to be in crowds, you're going to be in tight coverage. The other thing, and this happened yesterday, it was just one play, and I'm probably overselling it, but he caught a pass from DeVito over the middle of the field yesterday where he was running a shoot route. Patriots have a shoot route that has a conversion, an option at the top. You can either bend it like a crosser or you can keep it up the seam.
Yeah.
And he saw the linebacker sitting inside of him as a zone dropping linebacker sitting right in the middle of the field. And he just sat it down. And he just kind of settled into that void in the zone and sat it right down. And I thought, that's a pretty heady play for a rookie in his 4th training camp practice. Like that to me shows savvy along with, the athleticism as a receiver. So I'm pretty bullish on him as a receiver right now. Maybe I'm overreacting, but I think that he's a guy that can bring it. I agree. Austin Hooper upgrade in that regard. Can he block as well as Austin Hooper? We'll see. But that's going to be the big question. If they're going to run a lot of 12, then someone's going to have to be at least a serviceable blocker in line.
Right.
So which one of those two is going to be able to do that, Henry or Raritan? Last thing here on the list I had, not a ton to glean yet, Alex, about offensive and defensive line without pads. But participation, I think, is important. I had two notes, just Caleb Lomu's role and his developmental plan and what it seems to be right now. Also, their starting five on the offensive line, barring injury, I think we kind of know what it is already. I would be shocked if it's not Campbell, Vera Tucker, Wilson, Onwenu, Moses.
Yep.
I don't know why it would change. Lomu is on that Nate Solder plan right now. He's on the sixth offensive lineman.
Cross-training at both tackles.
Yeah, top swing tackle, successor at one side, which will probably be right for Lomu. It was left for Solder. But that seems to be his role right now. And I don't really see it changing unless somebody gets hurt. And it's not anything that Lomu is doing wrong. I think this is the plan. I think this is what they had in mind.
And I think people need to recalibrate. The first round picks got to play. And kind of yes, but
he was also the 28th overall pick.
Right. We're not talking top 5 picks anymore. And I think at that position, especially tackle, I'd say tackle, edge rusher, quarterback, maybe corner are spots where if you have a chance to get a guy a year ahead, you just get him. And you'd rather have the guy a year ahead and redshirt him for a year than, you don't know what the tackle market's going to look like next year. And now it's in need. And now maybe you have to settle or something like that. If you like the guy, you take him.
He's going to play this year. He's going to have his opportunities. He's not going to start out of the chute. Morgan Moses, I don't know if he's going to play every snap or every game. He didn't play every snap last year, but he was pretty close for a guy his age. Campbell obviously got hurt last year. I think he's still going to practice some at guard. We haven't seen that a ton. But if Vera Tucker or Onwenu gets hurt, I wouldn't be surprised if Lomu gets called upon in that situation either. They're gonna play 6 offensive linemen, 150 snaps this year probably. So that he's gonna play. He's gonna get his opportunities. Nate Solder's rookie year, Sebastian Vollmer got hurt at right tackle. He played a lot of right tackle. Ended up starting a bunch of games at right tackle. So Lomu will get his opportunities. All right, before we hit the break, we got our 3 up, 3 down, 4 days into training camp. So take it with a grain of salt. This is super early.
Yep.
But we try to go a little deeper, right? A little bit more on the bubble.
So this is Kayshawn Booty's not on here. Christian Gonzalez isn't on here.
So my number 1 up, I think we might have had the same. I put them together, the 2 tight ends, Raritan and Arkin.
I had Raritan. He's just especially after we really didn't see him at all in the spring, and you get a little worried. Is he not showing the coaches something? Is he not doing well in meetings? Whatever.
Yeah.
Vrabel credited him for playing faster. It's clearly working. He's had an awesome start to camp.
Number 2 on my list was my guy Chucky Trees. I'm in on Charles Woods.
All right.
I think Charles Woods has been competitive. I think it would be good for him if he can play both inside and outside and be that true 4th corner. Is there such thing as a swing corner? Because that's where we're headed with Charles Woods. Right?
I would say inside out corner.
He's backing up all 3 spots.
The terms I've used I don't know if I ever said these because I have all these weird terms in my head. An inside out corner and outside in corner is a guy who can play both, and it's just a matter of what's his priority. So I would call Charles Woods an outside in corner. Mainly plays on the outside, but can play on the inside.
Fair enough. So I have the 2 rookie tight ends.
Yeah.
Charles Woods at number 2. Who's your number 2?
Lan Larison. We didn't really talk about him, but still squarely looks like RB3. Was part of the kick return drill. We got a little glimpse. They didn't do full team kick return, but they kind of pulled some guys aside, and it looked like they were going through some kick return technique stuff with them. So you're going to have to do that to make the team. And some of the other running backs are there too, but he's staying involved, and he's even gotten some run with Drake May. I don't know, he's been great or bad. Again, it's just tough to judge the run game overall until the pads come on, but he remains, just in terms of the depth chart, that 3rd running back.
Yeah, he's definitely on the depth chart as the 3rd guy right now. He's the leader in the clubhouse for that. I do think Miles Montgomery and Jam Miller have flashed a little bit with their speed. So at some point, I think that's going to come out a little bit more. I think Larison's probably a little bit further along, obviously, after being in the building for a year and that type of stuff. I think those 2 guys got a little bit more burst. I'm sure you looked at this when they drafted him and signed him in undrafted free agency. Do you realize how close or how similar Jam Miller and Miles Montgomery's body types are?
Yeah, they're the same player.
They're literally the same player. They're 5'10", 205 with a 4.4 40. Both guys, height, weight, speed, almost identically the same. So they clearly see that build, that skill set as a fit. Travion Henderson's also very similar in that fit as well. So obviously that's a type of back that they look at and say these are the types of guys that we want. So it'll be interesting to see if once we get into some of the more contact stuff, if those 2 guys, their speed, because I think they have more speed than Larison does.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that starts to flash. The one like non-bubble situation I put on here, I did chart the one-on-ones yesterday. It was 3 steps, right? Like the pass rusher gets 3 steps. So it wasn't the full, like you're really like bull rushing or something like that. So give that caveat. But I thought the offensive line as a whole did really well. I thought they kind of dominated the period. But more specifically, I had Campbell and Lomu 5-0-1 in their 6 reps. Campbell went 2-0 against Draymond Jones and Elijah Ponder. Lomu 2 at left, 2 at right, 3-0-1. Pretty good for a rookie in the first time doing one-on-ones in the NFL. We'll get to the flip side of that in a second. But in terms of positives, Campbell had a really, really good rep against Braden Swinson. And we talked about this a lot last year, towards the end of last year. I remember we talked so much about him catching guys instead of like being aggressive and going out and getting guys. And he was using a vertical set and he was setting back into the backfield and trying to catch people. And I just didn't think that was the best approach for him because of his limitations with his length. So in that rep with Swinson, he just came right out of his stance, put 2 hands in Swinson's chest, and just immediately shut down the rep. And I want to see more of that. And that was a little. You remember in the offseason, I think he worked a little bit with Teron Armstead. Yeah, that's a little Teron Armstead. Teron Armstead was really good at that. And I think that's hopefully some maturation with Campbell. I've been really impressed with Campbell. Now, there's no pads, or yesterday was shells. He put Milton Williams on his butt yesterday, ear hold him, put him right on the ground. I think Campbell's looked pretty good. Now, we'll see if it lasts. But I think if you're looking for a year 2 lead for him, if you're looking for him to be healthy and more like the player he was pre-injury.
That's the big thing to me. He looks healthy.
Yeah.
And you know, not saying he's played poorly, but that was kind of the first box to check.
Well, last one for you.
I actually have 2 more.
Okay, cool.
Because you made me think of one. The one I had written down was Pop, and I kind of talked about this earlier. I just think some people putting him off the roster. Booty's been great, and I think that's kind of overshadowed. Pop's been really good too. He's been really involved. But the other one I thought of, because we already kind of talked about Pop. You just mentioned, he lost a rep to Campbell yesterday. But Braden Swinson, I just loved, when he talked to me the other day, I just loved what he had to say. Talking about new focus, new diet. I didn't realize, he said he was up to 270 pounds last year.
Well overweight.
You cannot be a speed rusher 270. He said he's now back down to like 250, 255, working on a new diet, less fruit roll-ups, less gushers, more plantains. So I
didn't realize that fried bananas was like a positive for your diet. Isn't that what plantains is?
No, plantains are the thing you use
Totally
to make a fried
fruit.
banana, but you can just eat them straight up.
Okay.
I don't think I would imagine he's not eating them fried. Plantains are just like small bananas.
Right.
It's a totally different
No,
fruit.
because fried plantains. Got it. So
Fried-
Totally different fruit.
But
totally different fruit.
But most people have fried them, right?
You can fry them. That is
steep.
Okay.
That is one thing you can do with them. They're very good.
Okay.
Fried. I don't know if I've ever had a plantain not fried.
I think I have had a plantain, but only it's a big thing in the Caribbean. Plantains.
Yes. I would imagine that they just taste like bananas.
They do.
They don't.
They don't?
I think they taste like
They
bananas.
don't taste like bananas at all.
That's why I
What
thought
do
it was
they
a
taste
banana.
like?
It's a much more mild taste.
Okay.
It's not very sweet. That's why when you fry them, you usually toss them with salt or other savory spices, but you can also steep them, and they become a little bit sweeter when you
I just
There
got
you go.
plantain splained. I like that. All right.
explained.
Yeah.
But either way,
Thank you, Ace.
Braden Swinson's down to 250. Sounds like the coaching staff loves his approach. He knows. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, but like he didn't take it seriously enough last year
Yeah.
in the summer and going on the practice squad. He said he needed that to kind of get the wake up call. So we'll see what happens when the pads come on. You still got to make plays, but I love his approach. I think that he is, again, I just think taking that. We know he's talented. It's a between the ears thing with him, and it sounds like he's got his head on straight.
All right, so those are our ups. 3 downs. I think we have both have the same number 1 down, and we'll see if this changes. But as of right now, Kyle Williams just seems like a guy without a home in this offense, and definitely repping as either the 6th or 7th wide receiver in the rotation. Some of that's because Chisholm plays in the slot and it's a different position. But that being said, I've written his name down once. Paul had to remind me yesterday of the catch that he made in like the first or second day of practice. I had totally forgot about it. Not a ton of opportunity with Drake May right now. The walkthrough day was the most telling. The walkthrough day, he was literally standing on the sideline for 95% of practice, not getting any reps. What is the path for Kyle Williams right now? Because I don't know if it's a guarantee that he makes this team, Alex. I don't know. I think that they probably could figure out something to do with him. Like if he's not on the team, is he tradable?
Right.
As a year 2 guy, maybe somebody goes back to their college evaluation and still thinks that there's something worth trading for there. I don't know, but I see a lot that he's definitely going to make the team. I don't know that he's definitely going to be here.
So on one hand, Beetle made this point when I was on with them the other day, and it's not quite apples and apples, but it's not apples and oranges. I've said it's like Granny Smith to Red Delicious.
Okay.
Jalen Polk was a 2nd-round pick.
Right.
They moved on from him after a year. Now, they weren't the coaching staff when Polk was drafted. So in that sense, it's different.
And I would also say that I think Kyle Williams has played better than
And
Polk.
I think Kyle Williams has already shown to be a much better player than Jalen Polk.
Yeah.
But just in terms of will they move off a guy that they invested that kind of draft pick in, there is a little bit of precedent for it. I think he's going to be here. It's tough because they got 7 guys.
Yeah.
You can make the case why they can't cut any of them, right? There's a really solid case to not cut or trade any of them. I mean, Brown and Dobbs obviously aren't going anywhere. Kayshon Boutte's been so good in camp. His chemistry with May is excellent, all of that. Pop Douglas is their best slot receiver and plays a unique role that most of the other guys on the roster don't. Efton Chisholm is their only other slot receiver. So if the slot receiver is going to be a factor, you need a backup, and that's Chisholm, and maybe he can return kicks. Mac Hollins brings a uniqueness with his size and strength, what he does as a blocker, his catch radius. He also, like Boutte, I think has very strong chemistry with Drake May. And Kyle Williams was a top 70 pick a year ago and is one of your few true speed guys.
And one of your few guys that are under contract, long term.
So, and I think that's everybody. Did I miss anybody?
No,
or did I just figure out who they're cutting? But they can't carry 7. And maybe somebody gets hurt. Maybe you get a Godfather offer for Kayshon Boutte. Somebody buys into this camp he's having. But, that's the problem. Yeah, you probably can't cut a guy like Kyle Williams. But you can say that about all 7 of them, and then you're just back to, you got to cut one. Or move on from one.
You just mentioned Boutte. The real path for Kyle Williams being a true contributor this year was pushing Boutte off the roster.
Right.
Him having a great camp, Boutte being tradable, and you trade Boutte and you pivot to Kyle Williams. That was the path.
Right.
Now, it's hard to have a really good camp like that when you don't get the opportunity to have a
Right. And
camp.
it's not that Kyle Williams has been bad. He just hasn't been on the field.
So the opportunity is not there because when you talk about base receivers, X or Z guys, not slots, like base receivers, it's Brown, it's Dobbs, it's Boutte, it's Hollins, and then it's Williams. So he has 4 guys ahead of him. Chisholm, really, when you bring it down, Chisholm only has 1 guy ahead of him. It's Pop Douglas, because they're pure slot guys.
Yeah.
So he only has 1 guy ahead of him. So when they're running with 1s and Pop is taking all the reps with the 1s, well, then when the 2s come on the field, then they're going to Chisholm, right? So those are Chisholm's reps. When Kyle Williams, when the 1s are on the field and Brown and Dobbs and Boutte are getting all those reps, well, when the 2s get on the field, Mac Hollins needs his reps. That's when that becomes more of a logjam, right? So I think that's where the issue is that there's not a ton of opportunities for Kyle Williams because of all these veteran guys. So I don't know what his path is. I heard, I think Zoe said this on one of your station shows that you got to start learning special teams.
So I will say
that's big too, return game, gunner.
He put on muscle, legit muscle. I don't know. Did you see him yesterday?
I did.
Bigger. If he has the frame to hold up returning kicks, now he also has to. He had some issues last year with actually fielding the kicks, right? But they don't have a clear kick returner right now, so that would really help him.
That's where it's going to have to be, because if he's a one-phase player only, at least Chisholm can return punts and maybe kickoffs too.
Right.
If he's a one-phase player, that really makes it even more dicey.
Well, I wonder, especially if he's now that he put on that muscle, can he be a gunner?
Yeah, I think that's in play
He's
too.
Speed for it.
Yeah.
If he can return kicks and be a gunner, that's a solid role.
Yeah, and be a speed guy, in your back pocket offensively. Fine. Next one here. Who's your number 2 down?
My number 2 down. Why did I close the text? That was stupid.
I'll go with mine first. It's Kendall Vildor. I mentioned it earlier.
Okay.
I just feel like he's gotten burned a couple times. Every time I feel like he goes up a notch to like the starting receivers, going up against the starters. Kayshon Bouttie's beaten him a couple of times. I think that competition right now, this is why I have Woods on the ups and Vildor on the downs. I'm giving it to Woods.
You're giving it to Woods, okay.
Yep.
Namdi, Obiizer, just haven't seen him.
It's a fair one.
Haven't seen him. Feels like a position where there's snaps to be won. It's been all Chad Mooman, KJ Britt. Do you have any idea? I was talking about this with Brian Hines on Patriots Beat. I'm curious your thoughts. How are we going to figure out? I mean, we'll figure it out eventually, first preseason game. Prior to that, because they're wearing the Guardian caps, right? And they don't have the stickers on them. Who's the green dot, Britt or Muma, when they're both on the field together? Have you noticed anything that might indicate that?
I believe it's been Britt.
Okay.
That's my feeling just based off of where he's playing too. I see him playing the Spillane spot in the defense.
And Muma's the Christian
Ellis. Like as the true Mike,
Okay.
So I would say that he's probably the one with the green dot. But it's a good question. Yeah, the linebacker depth along with the cornerback depth is still TBD. There's a lot of kind of buzz about Khalil Jacobs, but I haven't really noticed him make plays. In the spring, I did. He had a couple of pass breakups at the end of the spring in minicamp. I haven't really noticed that much as much in training camp, but the two UDFAs I keep hearing about are Arkin and Khalil Jacobs.
Yeah.
So maybe Khalil Jacobs, Obiizer was a 6th-round pick, so it wasn't like Obiizer was a top 100 guy.
Right.
It's not crazy at all to say that the UDFA ends up being better than the 6th-round pick. Like that happens all the time. So maybe they ended up finding their probably more like the Marte Mapu snaps than anything, special teams mostly, and really like a reserve player on defense.
Yeah.
Like maybe that guy ends up being Khalil Jacobs instead of Obiizer.
Maybe.
They're similar.
Yeah.
Last one for me. This is another one where it's like, well, if these people were good, then those people probably weren't so good.
Right.
First run of one-on-ones, I thought the edge rushers really struggled across the board. And this is something that we're going to have to highlight all camp long. And are they going to have enough pass rush off the edge? I thought Draymond Jones and Elijah Ponder struggled a little bit. I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it from Braden Swinson because I like what he said, and I like the skill set that he showed at LSU. I just haven't seen it really flash too much yet. Ponder got free a couple of times with scheme rush and team, stunts and things like that. But true one-on-one pass rush, I thought the tackles held their own and all kind of won those reps, especially the top guys. Maybe a little bit of burst from Q Hutchins. Saw a little bit of flash there, but that's his game. He's 230, 235. That he's a speed rusher type of guy that should look good on one-on-ones. I want to see more from that group. Obviously, no Landry, no Akis. Like that, those were two important people. You know who's not a big one-on-ones guy? Not that this matters one bit. Milton Williams. Like not really like an in his bag one-on-one guy.
Because I think his game's just overpowering people.
Yeah, like he doesn't win a whole lot one-on-one.
That's fine. As long as he does it in the games.
On the positive side, just to because it made me think of it, Vera Tucker looked phenomenal. Like Vera Tucker looked.
Do you want to have this conversation? Let me get my last one, then we'll have a conversation. Okay. Demetrius Crownover.
Yeah.
Marcus Bryant's ahead of him, and I think James Hudson's ahead of him. Which
Marcus Bryant looked pretty good. He had one really rough rep in one-on-ones yesterday where he fell down.
This is more just in terms of who's playing ahead of who.
Yeah.
Marcus Bryant right now. So the top three are obviously Campbell, Moses, and Lomu in terms of your tackles.
He's the fourth guy.
Marcus Bryant's clearly the fourth guy,
Agreed.
and good for him. I thought it would be him and Crownover competing for the fourth spot. Again, it's been James Hudson over Crownover.
Maybe it's because of James Hudson's versatility.
Maybe, and they played him a little at guard. I don't see it with James Hudson. And he's an older guy, and there's upside with Crownover. And
Crownover to me looks really. He's tall and he's long, but he looks really narrow and thin to me.
He's got to put some weight on. Yeah,
he was a guy that converted from tight end to tackle in college. He looks like it. But yeah, I thought the edge rushers. Not that it's surprising because we know that group isn't star-studded. Right. It's not like these guys are facing Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett in these one-on-ones, but. It's one of those things where we're going to have to do this all summer of like, does Will Campbell really look better or are these edge rushers a problem, right? And that's training camp. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I see you guys on the calls. I'm sorry we kept you waiting for so long, but we're coming right to you guys after the break.
Come welcome our newest restaurant additions at Patriot Place. Estella brings a celebration of flavors with a modern fusion menu, exciting cocktails, and brunch available daily beginning at 11 a.m. Enjoy freshly brewed coffee and Mediterranean-inspired breakfast and lunch from Angel's Cafe. Craving the classics? Chick-fil-A makes it easy to grab your favorite with mobile through, carry-out, and dine-in options. Download the Patriot Place Advantage app for special offers and to earn rewards every time you visit. Patriot Place. Shop, dine, enjoy.
The heaviest metal credit card of all time. Wielded at business dinners like a samurai sword. It's a classic corporate power move. But the real power move? Having end-to-end visibility on your most critical shipments. FedEx, the new power move.
Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
There's enough needless nonsense in the world already. Your phone plan shouldn't add to it. Verizon's new Simplicity plan cuts down on the nonsense in your life. Now there's just one plan, one price. $30 a line per month, even for a single line. And everyone gets our best 5G network. It's a phone plan designed to do exactly what a phone plan is supposed to do. Isn't that a lot simpler? Switch today at Verizon.com or at your nearest store. For new customers, $30 per line includes auto pay and switch discount. Additional taxes, fees, and terms apply. Unlimited data is restricted to on-device smartphone usage. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds.
If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right.
DraftKings is all about responsible gaming. It's more fun when it's for fun. So play responsibly. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction.
Alex, we have a new sponsor here at Patriots.com. This is a good one, and I'm gonna throw this out there. Although our show during the season, we usually are in the mornings or something like that, so not exactly lunchtime.
Yeah. Okay.
But Legal Seafoods is the new sponsor, and I'm a big Legal.
Got to get some gift cards.
Big Legals guy. The one in Chestnut Hill, I think it's still there. I don't live in that area anymore. So
the one closest to me is the South Shore Plaza.
So the one in the Seaport's pretty close. But the one in Chestnut Hill, I used to go there all the time with my parents and my grandparents, like Sunday 6 o'clock dinner, type of thing.
We used to go to. Is Legal Test Kitchen still a thing? I don't think it is. Do you remember that?
Legal Sea Bar is definitely still a thing.
No, did you ever go to Legal Test Kitchen?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I used to like going there. I don't think it's a thing anymore.
I think the one in Assembly in Somerville is technically a test kitchen. I could be wrong
but it's
about
not
that.
called that.
So.
The one in the Seaport closed. That's the one I used to go to.
Okay, Legal's great, love it. Legal Seafoods is giving fans a true taste of Boston this season as the official seafood restaurant of the New England Patriots. Pre-game or post-game, get the seafood you love at your local restaurant today. www.legalseafoods.com. What's your order? Do you have an order? I'm a fish and chips guy. So.
Mainly fish and chips, but it depends on the mood. I like good tuna steak. I do that.
Okay, that's a good one. I didn't think you were going to say that.
Oh, dude, like a good,
good man,
rare tuna steak with some soy sauce or something on it.
They used to have good lobster, shrimp scampi.
And lobster
too.
roll. I'll do a lobster if I'm there for lunch. Maybe a lobster roll. They got some good pastas too, with the fish. It depends. That's honestly a place where I don't have a order. It really depends on what I'm feeling.
If I'm going seafood, I'm either going seafood pasta, some sort of pasta dish, scampi, something like that, or I'm going fish and chips. Those are my two.
I feel like I probably get fish and chips the most when I'm there.
Yeah, because it's good. All right, let's get to the calls.
Yeah.
I've been talking too much. Patty's in Agawam. What's up, Patty?
What's up, guys?
How we doing?
I make a shrimp scampi, as you kids would say, slaps. So I have three things, so I'll try and make them as quick as possible. Three things I would just want to get your guys' thoughts on. First thing, I'm surprised nobody's talked about this over the first 4 days of camp, but I think these next 3 days when they put pads on, I think we're going to see a different A.J. Brown, and I think we're going to see a more physical. I just think the physicality, as the physicality ramps up, I think he's going to be a little bit more on. Wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. Second thing, Eli Raridan. You guys can ask Claire this. Like, he was on my list. Like, he was one of the tight ends that I absolutely loved coming out this past draft year. And another thing, I think when the pads come on, I think if you guys kind of touched on it a little bit. Like, I think Hunter Henry's I don't think he's good or bad. I would call him a willing and capable blocker. If he shows out like by the end of camp that he's a little bit better than that, can we put the getting another tight end, getting a veteran tight end to bed? And the last guy, Romeo Doubs, I know he's been kind of polarizing as far as like him not really showing up so far, even though it's only 4 days. But do you guys have any worry that kind of like what we saw with Jonnu in 2021 and 2022, where he just really doesn't grasp the offense? And the one thing I hope we don't see this year is, remember how kind of sloppy he made things look? Jonnu, I'm talking about. I kind of hope we don't see that with him, and I just hope something clicks. You guys have any worry about that? I'll take it off the air. Don't ever apologize for keeping me on hold. I can listen to you guys talk football forever. That's all I got.
Thanks for the call, Patty. I appreciate it. The name that if you want to do this, and I fully admit that this is way too early to put this on him. The Patriot free agent signing of the past that comes to mind for me with Romeo Doubs, worst case scenario is not Jonnu, it's Juju. So also a J name.
Yeah.
Very different situations. Like Juju was declining health wise and things like that. I don't think we're there with Romeo Doubs. His point about AJ Brown and the pads we made yesterday on the show on PU, I think it's a great point. I meant to mention it when we were talking about it, and I totally forgot to. AJ Brown is a physical specimen. Like, he is a physical power player. We had a call yesterday, ask me if I was like already kind of like oohing and ahhing over Diggs at this point. But Diggs was a great route runner, right? Like, he was a great separator and a great route runner. AJ Brown's got a different skill set and a different type of game. Until they start really ramping up the physicality where he can use that, he's not going to be like a pajama party guy.
Right.
He's a Sundays guy. Like, he's a football player. He's not a two-hand touch receiver. So I think that's a more than fair point. What did you think about the three things he said?
I'm with you with Dobbs. I think that's the better comp would be Juju, but there is some health stuff there. I'm trying to remember what else he said. I agree with AJ Brown in the pads. That is probably some of it too. Like, he just wants to body guys, and that's going to be his game. And I also think that's just again, I don't think it's just them not being in pads. I do think that him and Drake are still working to get on the same page.
Me too.
Some of that stuff you have to work with the contact being a part of it.
Yeah.
So I think getting into pads, the first few days of pads, it's going to be really important to see how his chemistry with Drake May grows during that time.
Yeah, just, beating guys up at the line of scrimmage, bumping guys off the top of the route. Like, you're not going to do that in shorts and a t-shirt the same way that you're going to do that in pads. And then obviously with AJ Brown, that I probably existed even less with Diggs. The whole after the catch element is not something that we're going to see as much in practice when they're not tackling to the ground. So big part of his game is how hard he is to tackle. Well, you're not tackling. So he might catch a 6-yard curl and turn that into a 26-yard gain, but you're not going to see that in a non-tackling setting.
Right.
So we might not see that till week 1 in Seattle.
Yeah, I doubt we're going to see AJ Brown much of it all in the preseason, which is fine. But,
yeah. Tight end, are you ready to put the veteran tight end thing to bed? Or I'm not there yet.
We haven't even seen the kids block.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's trending in that direction, but the blocking's a huge part of it.
Yep. Randy's in Providence. What's up, Randy? Randy, going once.
Randy.
All right, call us back, Randy. I had it on hold forever. Dominique's in New York. What's up, Dominique? Another one I had on hold for too long. Dominique, going once. All right, Randy and Dominique, give us a call back. We're doing calls. Todd, what's up? Somewhere. Where are you, Todd?
We're kind of stuck between different places, so just immigration stuff. We're all over the place.
Okay, well, I hope that's you go. I hope everything's all right there, Todd.
we're almost in Tewksbury, but we don't know where we're going to be right now, so it's one of those things. Anyway, what I've got a little bit of concern about is our depth at linebacker, and concerning Dobbs. Is Dobbs going to be like Brown? Like, we need to wait till he gets pads on really to evaluate him? Those are my 2 points, and I just want to hear your thoughts on that. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. I agree, and that's why I said with Brown, my concern level with Dobbs is just a little bit higher because he's not AJ Brown.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's all it is it's just the equity of AJ Brown's career.
They're proven. AJ Brown's shown what he can do when the lights come bright. Not that Dobbs has been bad, but he's never had a 1,000-yard season.
Right. Okay, we got a bunch of emails too, Alex, and I think our callers might be calling back in. But while we get them on the phone, I'll start with this email. I've gotten inundated with questions about this, so I'm going to answer this. We can answer this all at once. Matt Collins moving to tight end. Is this a thing that could actually happen, not happen? I've said it on Twitter. I said it on the show yesterday. To me, this is semantics. I don't think it really matters whether or not he's listed as a tight end or a wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's going to block the same people. He's going to run the same routes. He's going to be in the same areas of the field. If he blocks a slot corner or if he cracks the end on a toss,
right,
but he has WR next to his name instead of TE or TE instead of WR, it really does not matter.
It doesn't matter. I think where some people come with this take, though, is like, well, then you don't need to add another tight end. And hey, now Matt Collins counts as a tight end, not a wide receiver, so they can keep whoever the wide receiver people are arguing for, Kyle Williams, Afton Chisholm, Kayshon Boutte, whoever. Matt Collins is not a full-time tight end in that sense.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple things. One, 6'4", 221, enormous for a receiver, obviously. It's kind of undersized for a tight end.
Yep.
Especially a guy that you're counting on a block. And in that vein, I think people miss, oh, well, he's a big wide receiver who's a really good blocker for a wide receiver. Well, isn't a big, good blocking wide receiver really just a tight end? In some sense, yes, but in a lot of ways, no. Matt Collins is really good at blocking the kind of assignments you ask a wide receiver to block. There's a big difference between we're going to line you up in the slot and you're going to block this safety versus you're going to put your hand in the dirt right next to the tackle and block a defensive end.
Right.
Those are two very different things. Matt Collins is a very good blocker for what he's asked to do, but it's not the full list of what you're going to ask a tight end to do blocking. So I think the reason a lot of people want to make Matt Collins a tight end is to make the numbers work at the wide receiver position.
Keep all
now
7.
It's not 7. Now it's 6. And you
3.
can find a way to keep 6. Right. Well, now you're really shortchanging yourself, right? If it's, well, okay, Tanner, we're going to move on from Tanner Arkin because Matt Collins is such a good blocker, and Matt Collins is going to be our blocking tight end. You're really shortchanging yourself tight end now. That's nothing against Matt Collins. It's just a different position.
Matt Collins already in a lot of ways is basically like a move or a joker tight end.
Right.
And like you said, he's 6'4", 220 pounds.
Yeah.
He's not going to put his hand in the dirt and block a defensive end or a 255, 260 pound outside linebacker. That's not a matchup that the Patriots want or that Matt Collins wants to smoke with. Right. So that's not going to happen. Is he going to be like a de facto blur the lines? I think he already does that. I think that's what he does at wide receiver. You know, last year the Patriots, Alex, were like really 3 receiver heavy, but a lot of their 11 or 3 receiver packages had Matt Collins in them, and it kind of blurred the lines between 12 and 11 because they had a guy like Matt Collins who could do some tight end stuff. So at the end of the day, I don't want to argue about it because it's semantics. Like it's literally like just what position is listed next to his name. You know, the emailer mentioned, I know we're all chasing this player for the rest of the time because he was, you know, on the football field. He was tremendous. Aaron Hernandez, he is nowhere near as loose or fluid or quick as Aaron Hernandez was.
Right.
And I think that whenever that name comes up, and it comes up often because we all want another Gronk or another Hernandez, and I get it.
Yeah.
So do we. But when Hernandez comes up, I implore you to go watch how quick that dude was for 250 pounds.
Right.
That is a rare combination of quickness and size that Hernandez had that nobody else. I don't know if anybody else, like maybe Kelsey, like Travis Kelsey, like comes to mind as a guy that touches that, like prime Kelsey, obviously. But to have that level of fluidity and quickness at that size is rare.
Yeah. So I'll just say it again. Like Matt Collins can do some tight end stuff, and that's great and that's helpful. keeping Mac Hollins as one of your 3 tight ends, I think, is shortchanging yourself at the tight end position.
It's, yeah. One emailer emailed in and said that you need to swear more with Zolak.
Does I need to catch up. So on the post-practice streams we do, Zoe likes to swear, and then I'm supposed to swear too. But he usually does more than me. His numbers are usually higher than mine, so I guess I gotta keep up with him.
I get yelled at for swearing on here. So
yeah, I can't swear. Actually, well, that's kind of the bit
because it's like a stream on YouTube.
Right.
He's allowed to swear, but obviously, I know you guys are like regulated. Sorry.
Yeah, no, when we're just on YouTube, we can. So I will try to be better about that.
Okay. Here is an email from Rick. We haven't really mentioned this guy's name a ton, so he emailed in about Gabe Akis.
Okay.
Can you recall a situation similar to Gabe Akis where a player gets drafted and afterwards it is disclosed that he had an injury? No, I can recall a million guys: Malcolm Mitchell, Sony Michel, Dominique Easley, go on right down the line, Rizai Dowling, that had injuries going into the draft. Now, I don't want to be too critical because I don't know the exact answer. And I know Greg Bedard had some reporting on this that no team was aware of this knee injury that came up.
Well, it sounds like, is it a knee? Obviously, there's an injury, but it sounds more like the issue is a surgery.
So, and I guess Bedard said that nobody was aware of it.
Of the injury or the surgery?
Of either. Of the need to have a surgery.
What could have happened is, speculating, right?
Yeah.
Because I think there's 2 different conversations here. If he had a knee thing that the team saw in the medicals and they were like, all right, well, that's there, but we're not super worried about it, because that happens all the time, right? You play, even through 4 years of college football, maybe a guy's not 100% healthy.
Yeah.
But you say, okay, this is a thing with his knee, whatever. It's not a big deal. But then he got surgery to repair it, and the teams thought it was fine. So now it's not necessarily a knee injury. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's different than just like, oh, hey, like, he has a ligament issue.
So the question that I would ask, and I usually, and I don't know when it will happen, if it does happen, we usually do get a chance to talk to Elliot Wolf in the summer. So hopefully that does happen.
Right.
In theory, you have the combine medical check.
Yep.
Now, the Patriots did not have him in for a 30 visit. I think
they did.
They did. So it was Lomu who they had to cancel, right?
Yeah.
So they didn't have.
They had Akis in, I think it was like the second week of April.
So they had Akis in for a 30 visit. My understanding of those 30 visits is that you do your own medical check during those 30 visits.
Yeah, that's a big reason you do those.
Where the team doctors get your hands on the player.
Right. So the combine medical check is the league does it and the information is sent out to the teams.
Right.
It's one, they're not making these guys take 32 physicals.
Yes. So we can, based off the reporting, you can sit here and say, well, nobody caught it. And that's valid. But you also didn't catch it. And that would be my one criticism of this is like, this is why you do these medical checks. Like, this is why you host players that might have injury flags on your board for 30 visits, is to have these checks medically. So when they say nobody was aware of it, so he went on X amount of 30 visits. He probably went on 10, 12, 15, whatever. You know, usually it's probably around the 10 to 12 range. They try not to overload them too much. You went on all these 30 visits and all 10 team doctors missed it too.
Unless, again, is there a chance that, because we don't know when he had that surgery, right? Or the procedure,
it sounds like the procedure was between the pro day that he had and the start of like the off-season program. So April-ish.
Could he have had it after the physical but before the draft?
So my guess is...
Because then you didn't miss it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
so that's the question that I think needs to be answered.
And that would maybe explain why there were so many issues is... You're like, that would maybe explain why there's issues with the contract is you went out and did something that we weren't counting on. So we want to address the contract accordingly.
Or were not communicated to us that you were doing this.
Right. Which then it gets into a weird thing of like, well, he wasn't a Patriot. If it was before the draft, then is it like, well, he wasn't a Patriot yet?
Yes. So that's...
Not that defends it. Like, you shouldn't get a surgery in between the medical check and the draft. But...
So that's where the Mike Reese report about an injury waiver, which on a rookie contract is extremely rare. Usually those happen with guys later on in their careers when there's a known injury or a known lingering issue. The injury waiver on his rookie contract, I think, comes into play because of that. He had a procedure in between his last 30 visit / his personal pro day and the draft that teams were not aware of.
Right.
And that's how we got here. But
and so that would be...
What a wild situation.
Yeah, that would be where the team didn't miss it, but there was medical information that they weren't aware of.
Correct.
Right.
All right. Randy is back. What's up, Randy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
It worked better this time. It completely dropped last time. My apologies.
Oh, no problem.
So I just a couple quick questions / thoughts, and then I'll pop off and get you guys' thoughts. Caden Wallace is a name I haven't heard at all. Is he even still on the team? Is he going to make the roster? Do you guys have any thoughts whatsoever about him? Pop Douglas, like I hear his name a lot, but I feel like he's a pads off guy, like he's little, he's quick, he's those types of guys like often are great with the pads off, but then, you put on the pads and it's just not quite as quick. So it's like, they look good at this time of year a lot. Did you guys have any thoughts about Vita Vea? Like, great guy to put next to Milton Williams. He stops the run. Williams chases the QB. Could Barmore and a pick get that done? Maybe, I don't know. And then like slightly longer thought on the Booty Dobbs Brown thing, because you kind of got the log jam there. You guys have outlined it very well throughout the episode, right? And I feel like if you took those three guys and you rated 1 through 10, skill, team connections, and chemistry with the quarterback, Dobbs would be a distant third. And I honestly think if you included Hollins in that, Dobbs might be fourth. So like you guys had kind of said, like Brown and Dobbs aren't going anywhere. Why couldn't Dobbs? Is there something I'm not a CBA like scholar or something. Is there like can they not trade him? Because the most wide receiver needy team in the league right now, granted it's in our division, but the Dolphins, whose quarterback played with Dobbs last year. There are other connections in the front office. Why wouldn't he be a guy that they think like, listen, we signed him. We didn't know for sure we were going to get AJ. We did. Then Dobbs moves to second. But hey, Booty looks great, so now he kind of becomes expendable. I mean, it's quick, and you don't want to make practice of signing guys and then trading them right away. But you don't often have situations like this either. So, why do you think he's safe in your mind? Why couldn't he be the guy that's expendable in the whole equation and kind of open things up a little bit?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Randy.
It'll be known as July 29th. We're already getting questions about trading Romeo.
Yeah,
Dobbs.
a lot of impact there. I think he answered his own question.
Yeah.
You don't want to get into
a number of reasons.
You don't want to get into a habit of signing guys to big free agent contracts and then trading them.
If you trade Romeo Dobbs less than 6 months after signing him to a,
they signed him in March.
What was the total value of the contract? $70 million contract?
Yeah.
Good luck signing any free agent for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
You
It's
are
a terrible precedent.
Completely poisoning the brand. You are also taking on, not only is there dead money on his contract, the dead money actually exceeds the cap hit. So you lose $26 million in cap space this year, which I don't think they have. And then another $8 million the year after that. So financially, it's a major blow.
Yeah, no, but
you can't. There's and just because he's a good player, like
let's give him some time, guys.
Yeah,
let's give him some time to figure it out and get up to speed. The biggest thing to me, I mean, like the money obviously is a huge factor at any move and any decision in the NFL or pro sports. But the precedent that sets, that you're willing to sign a guy and then immediately trade him is just a no-go from the jump. Like you said, good luck attracting free agents moving forward if you're going to do that. Now,
signing your own guys.
If we're having this conversation a year from now with Romeo Dobbs,
sure,
maybe that's a different situation, and we can get into that. Quick Vita Vea take.
I mean, look, I'd love him here. They need a nose tackle. They need a guy who can stop the run. He can obviously do more than that. He'd be a good veteran leader. The reporting is he wants to go to the West Coast.
Yeah.
I also don't know, with Gonzalez in May, like, are the Patriots bringing on another big contract? Because he wants an extension.
Right.
So this isn't just like a one-year move. You bring him in, you're going to have to pay him.
A 31-year-old.
Yeah, 31-year-old. So, I mean, like, if we're building a team in Madden for 1 year, certainly I'd love it. Logistically, I don't know that it makes a ton of sense. If you're going to give up, and you're going to have to give up something significant to get him, At that point, I'd go call teams about an edge rusher. If you're going to give up, can you get like, and I don't know, I know this has kind of gone quiet. What do you think? So he mentioned Barmore, right? Would you rather trade Barmore at this point for Vita Vea or Josh Sweat?
Vita Vea.
Okay.
It's a better player.
I guess who would the edge rusher equivalent of that be?
I don't know. Vita Vea is really good.
Vita Vea is really good.
Like a top 5 defensive tackle in football. But he's 31.
Yeah.
He wants a new contract. I tweeted this out before the show. I did a little actually, Evan-splaining. I'm sorry. I tried not to do that. I couldn't help myself. The Patriots last year, they do have a 3-4, 5-man front in their wheelbox, in their toolbox, I should say. Got caught in between two things there. In their toolbox. But that really is a Kairos Tonga 33% of the snaps kind of thing. Like, in theory, I guess they could be a 5-man front if they get a guy like Vita Vea and you put him in the middle of Milton Williams and Christian Barmore. But that's a part-time role in their current scheme. Yeah. It's a 25% if you want to go off of 5-man fronts. It's 33% if you want to go off of Tonga last year. But remember, Milton Williams got hurt, and Tonga played a lot of the Milton Williams things. So, there's a little bit of gray area there. Let's call it 25 to 30% of the snaps they would play. Yeah. They would have a role for a true 3-4 nose tackle. So, without that role, you have 3 guys. So, someone's going to be on the sideline is what I'm getting
So, he mentions trading Barmore.
So, I guess if Barmore's in the trade, but I don't know. I don't love that.
I also don't know if the Bucs want Barmore. They have Kalijah Cansey, who's kind of a similar player. You're trying to plug a different role. Does their defensive scheme facilitate having 2 of those guys on the field a lot at the same time?
Right. Like if you're a big
I'm asking that. I don't know.
If you're a big 4-man front team, like the Patriots are, they're about in a 4-man front about 65% of the time. If you're a big 4-man front team, then it's just Matt. You only have 2 defensive tackles on the field.
Right.
So if you have a 3-man rotation of Vea, Barmore, Williams, don't get me wrong, that's one of the best interior rotations in football, maybe the best, but someone's on the sideline. Someone's not playing a lot.
And I guess the argument would be will you keep everybody fresh? But it's one of those things like the Belichickism, right? It's about collecting talent, or it's not about collecting talent, it's about building a team.
Yeah.
Adding Vita Vea is more just collecting talent. I don't know how much he I'm sure they'd find things for him to do, but for what you're going to have to give up, I just think those resources could be better spent elsewhere.
The reason why, and the last thing on the Vea thing, the reason why Corey Durden is the Tonga in-house replacement is because they're not thinking that Corey Durden's going to play 65-70% of the snaps. They're thinking that Corey Durden's going to play 35% of the snaps. You're not trading for Vita Vea, signing him to the extension that he wants to be extended, where it's going to be $20+ million, maybe more a year, and then playing him 35% of the snaps. That's not going to happen. And you're also not going to play Milton Williams the most of any player on the team and take him off the field, or Christian Barmore, who's also up there. It's just a lot of resources allocated at one spot without a role to sort of bring it on now. He's a great player. And if the rumors are that he wants to go to the West Coast, have him go out west.
No, because you know where he's going to go.
The Rams?
He's going to go to the Rams, who are also... I'm in on this. And there's no inside information here, but they're getting Aaron Donald back. Come on. He's been at the facility. You got McAfee talking about he's considering it.
Garrett, Donald, Vea. I don't remember exactly because they have Fisk.
Byron Young,
Byron Young's still there. Because they have Fisk, they have Kobe Turner. Those are inside
Here's
players,
their front.
Yeah.
Fisk, Kobe Turner, Byron Young.
Yeah.
Obviously Myles Garrett. They also have Poona Ford, who's a good player.
Good run stuffer. Yeah.
Tim Keenan.
Another run stuffer. Wide body.
You had Vita Vea and Aaron Donald to that. I mean, just a 3 down.
It'd be Garrett, Donald, Vea, Young.
Oh, my God. What do you do?
Well, we won't have to worry about it to the Super Bowl, Alex. It's fine.
We should probably start trying to figure that out now, though. I don't think that's something you could figure out in 2 weeks. In all honesty.
Put one of the advanced scouts on it.
I just want to put your football mind to the test here.
Yeah.
Forget we'll put Vita Vea in it. Just Vita Vea, Myles Garrett, and Donald.
Run.
Who do you how would you scheme that up?
Run, Drake, run.
You're just constant rollouts?
Just move the pocket, man. Just move it away from Myles Garrett and away from that side of the line.
So you're just going to roll towards Byron Young and
Vea.
Braden Fisk consistently.
Get Vea moving side to side.
Do you almost just run like a ton of read option?
I'm just getting Vita Vea and Byron Young at the point of attack, and I am doing nothing with Donald and Myles Garrett.
But what if they put Donald and Garrett on separate sides? Because that's what I would do. I'm not putting.
I'm running it. I don't know. Now I'm in trouble.
That's what I would. I would have Garrett.
Yeah.
Fisk.
Yeah.
Donald.
The reason
even
why
without Vea, Garrett, Fisk, Donald, Young is how I would line it up.
So where's Vea playing?
I'm saying even without Vea, but then I guess Garrett. What would that be? Garrett, Vea, Donald, Young.
Yeah, I was thinking more. Yeah, that could work because you want Myles Garrett on the backside, right?
Right. And then maybe on third downs, I put Garrett and Donald next to each other and just completely unleash hell.
Well, I don't want to worry about that right now. We'll worry about that in February.
Who are left tackles in that division? Trent Williams.
Trent Williams is pretty good
player.
player.
With Darian Lowe
Paris
as the backup.
Campbell's a good player too.
Paris Campbell's not bad.
Yeah.
All right.
That might be
The last thing on this. I do, the Vita Vea stuff aside,
yeah,
I do want Aaron Donald to come back. I want to see Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett together. How can you not, as a fan of the sport, just want to see what that would look like?
Because there's still a piece of me that wants the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. Alex.
Obviously, and as a Patriots fan, I'd be terrified. No, nobody's going to win any games if that's the case. But
all 31 other teams are going 0-17, and the Rams just get all.
Who's their DC again? Chris Shula?
Yes.
Imagine if they still had Wade Phillips.
Well, Chris Shula's a pretty good coordinator.
You don't want to see what, like,
buck.
do you think at that point with that much talent, Sean McVay maybe pops his head in the defense meetings and says
Chris Shula is like, he's going to be a head coach someday.
Is he?
Yeah,
right.
He's good.
But with that much talent, Sean McVay being the football brainiac he is, you think he starts popping in the defensive meetings a little bit and being like, I kind of want to toy around with this. I want to get in the lab on this.
Maybe, but I think he'd be smarter to just let Chris Shula do his thing.
I just want to, I'm curious. I want to see it. I want to see what it looks like.
I'm good. All right. Dominique's in New York. What's up, Dominique?
Hey, what's up? How y'all doing?
Good.
Hey.
Good. Listen, I'm with Evan on this one. I do not want to see Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald back together, or just together in general. That's arguably two of the top 10 defensive players of all time. You're just running the league at that point defensively, and it is what it is. So, but if he does come back, I will be watching. That's prime time. So really quick, I had a thought, and this kind of goes back to the point where you guys were touching on with the linebackers, and I'm a little concerned with the depth, right? I think we had a great draft. You can't address everything in one draft, right? So I'm glad we shored up the line, went ahead and got an edge rusher, but I was really hoping that we could have gotten more of a linebacker, middle linebacker, whether it would have been like Anthony Hill Jr., I believe, or Jacob Rodriguez, what have you. But I am kind of concerned with our depth, especially knowing that if Robert Spillane goes down, that doesn't really impact the defense. So I'm wondering, what are some of the skill sets that you feel you'll be looking for with the linebackers in this training camp? Are there different schemes that we can kind of cover that depth? I know we may not have a third safety, but are there ways we can get a lot of athleticism on the field, or are there different looks or different guys that can float around just to kind of protect that, make sure we can, play the run, play the pass, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe who are the guys that you're hoping that pop based on that and can contribute hopefully meaningfully this season. And then lastly, too, never mad at the wide receiver situation. We used to have Juju Smith, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, and folks. I'm glad we have more talent than less, right? So that means keeping Romeo, Kayshawn, AJ, and whoever. If it means rostering potentially 7, fine. But it's a great position to be in, and I'll take it any day of the week compared to like a couple of years ago. So, yeah, and I'll take it off on.
Thanks, Dominique. That was good stuff. Yeah, the linebacker spot I think is fair. The linebacker depth.
Yeah.
What do I want to see? I think it's twofold for me. KJ Britt, is he a 1-for-1 for Jack Gibbons? Like if Robert Spillane gets hurt again, like he did at the end of last year, Jack Gibbons wasn't great, but wasn't terrible. It was serviceable in that spot. Does KJ Britt give you enough of that third linebacker where he can fill in for 3-4 games, a stretch of games, and you don't lose too much with Robert Spillane being banged up? I think that's a big one. And then you mentioned the 2 young guys earlier, Obi Izor or Khalil Jacobs. Can one of those guys pop? It does feel like a spot where they kind of, maybe punted a little bit to next offseason on inside linebacker. I don't know if this is what it is. Analytically, it's not a very valuable position anymore. Maybe they feel like it's not a real needle mover. So we have Spillane. We have Ellis. We like that tandem together. We'll be okay for one more season with those two guys, but we'll see on that. So I think that's a spot that hopefully we get into next offseason and we're starting to talk about them drafting for depth. Drafting depth at linebacker, corner, maybe safety at that point. Places like that we're talking a little bit more about not needing to draft an edge rusher high because they just need a guy that can play, not needing to draft a left tackle high because they just need a left tackle. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. A lot of calls coming in. This is Eddie in New York. What's up, Eddie?
Eddie,
going once. All right, give us a call back. Kendall's in North Carolina. What's up, Kendall? Oh, maybe some of those lines are
lines are getting crossed. Call back, guys.
Yeah, Mark is in Connecticut. What's up, Mark?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call, as always. I was at training camp on Sunday. I was trying to get a hold of you guys, but never was able to, so that's all right. Hey, Eli Reardon looked really smooth. I'm really excited to see him with the pads on and see if he can actually move some guys.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing is there actually a possibility that they actually keep all 7 wide receivers? Because obviously I like Efton Chisholm and I like Kyle Williams because he was a third-round pick last year. So and the other 5 are really, really good and are solid. So is there actually a possibility of keeping 7? Have they ever done that before, or do they normally only keep 6?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mark, as always. Sorry we missed you.
Keep. Didn't they keep like 8 last year initially?
So there's a big difference, and I think this is important. There's a big difference between what you keep initially and what you actually keep, right? So in theory, they could go through roster cutdowns with all 7 guys on the roster because they don't want to risk putting Efton Chisholm on waivers or Kyle Williams on waivers. Matt Collins wouldn't go on waivers. So if you're looking for a surprise cut, it might be like a guy like Matt Collins, who they actually plan on bringing back on the practice squad and then finding opening for him because he doesn't have to pass through waivers. Right. But at the end of the day, do you go into week 1 with 7 wide receivers on your roster? No. Or is there another move that you're waiting to make and you just want to protect all 7 of them?
They kept 8 last year.
Yeah.
And that lasted about 13 hours.
Yeah.
So could they keep, to your point, could they keep 7 and then you find a trade partner or, they do something weird with Matt Collins or whatever? Sure. I don't know if Matt Collins is going to go for that. I think he'd leave some money on the table if he did that. But
yeah.
They're not going to have 7 wide receivers on their week 1 roster. I would be very surprised if that ended up being the case.
All right, 8 more minutes to go on the show. There's one other thing I wanted to mention that I caught my eye right before the show started. Yeah. Ted Wynn, fellow ball knower, fellow film junkie, had a really good ranking of the offensive play callers in the NFL. Top 10 play callers. He kind of did what Jeremy Fowler does. He went around to a bunch of defensive coordinators and pulled the defensive coordinators on their opponents, on the play callers. So it's play callers, not coordinators. So the head coaches are in here, right? So it's not just OCs. It's also
offensive minds,
all offensive play callers, offensive architects, offensive minds.
Yeah,
sure. So no surprise here. My boy's number 1.
I do think it's a little bit of a surprise.
No surprise.
I do think it's a little bit of a surprise.
Kyle Shanahan.
I can't say it should be McVay.
McVay is number 2.
Okay, but you would be surprised if McVay was ahead of Shanahan.
I wouldn't be surprised. I think McVay's maybe a better head coach, and Kyle Shanahan
a better head coach.
And Kyle Shanahan is a better offensive architect and play caller.
Maybe.
I think those are 2 different things.
I guess maybe. I'd give it to McVay. He just said his quarterback won MVP.
He did.
I'd give it to McVay.
His quarterback's really good. Number 2 is McVay.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Ben Johnson.
Sure.
Another one of my guys.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Matt LaFleur with the Green Bay Packers. Again, separate the play caller from the head coach.
I guess. Yeah, okay.
This one surprised me pretty high.
Yeah.
Liam Cohn, number 5 with the Jaguars. I thought that was a little high.
I think I got kind of creative last year. I might even have him ahead of LaFleur.
This one to me, you know how sometimes the Oscars give out like a best actor as a lifetime achievement award? Andy Reid at number 6 to me is a little bit of a lifetime achievement award. That offense last year was not good.
That thing got a little stale, yeah.
Not good. But maybe they are saying it was,
just collective work.
Yeah, and like they had some injuries, and their talent wasn't great, and all that kind of stuff. Number 7, underrated play caller, but I think maybe a little higher than the guy at number 8, Shane Steichen with the Colts. Really good RPO. Heavy
Yeah, all right.
play caller.
Now somebody's starting to follow.
Number 8, Josh McDaniels.
Too far down.
With the New England Patriots. So that's why I brought this up. Josh comes in at number 8. A couple of notable things. Let me finish the top 10 and then I'll get to Josh's write-up.
Okay.
Number 9, the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders who just beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl, Clint Kubiak.
Okay.
Number 9. And number 10, another one of my boys, Mike McDaniel with the Chargers. So Josh McDaniels at number 8. Couple of things from the blurb or the write-up that I thought were interesting or stood out. The first one was, first of all, he did receive a first-place vote. So somebody thinks he's the best play caller in football.
I would, yeah.
One defensive coordinator at least thinks that. Some also did not have him ranked. So
yeah,
it was a wide sort of variety here.
Isn't this kind of what happened with Drake May in the
ESPN
but
there is
voting?
a NFL defensive coordinator that thinks that Josh McDaniels is the best play caller in
who
football.
did they like really pants last year?
They really pantsed a lot of teams.
I know, but who got it? Who got it like really bad? Trying to remember.
So, a couple of things here while you're trying to remember that.
Was it Aaron Glenn? Do we think it was Aaron Glenn?
Could have been. One head coach. This was a head coach, so it's not just DCs. There's some head coaches involved too. One head coach pointed out his, Belichickness. His ability.
So I love this quote.
His
I think
ability
it's true.
to call the game to win the game, not to put up the most points or the most style points.
So the exact quote is, I feel like Josh, and it's the Bill Belichick influence, he calls the game to win the game. He doesn't necessarily call the game to have the best offense. I give him a lot of credit for that.
Yep.
And that's what I think some of those guys at the top of the list do not do.
They run their
That
stuff.
is the difference to me between Josh McDaniels and those Shanahan guys. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. Does he leave some metrics, whether it's literal points and yards or some advanced metrics on the table? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he does. But he's just trying to go out and win the game. And that's where the game plan offense comes in. And, 1 week this guy's heavily featured. Another week you don't see him at all because he's hunting the matchups. That should not be a rare trait. That should be if I were hiring either side of the ball, a coach to call plays, that would be the bare minimum for me.
Yeah.
Like, do you care about the numbers, yes or no? And the answer should be no.
You care about the wins.
Right.
If we have to pass it 50 times or if we have to run it 50
Right.
times, we're going to win the game when we need to win
It's kind
the
of
game.
crazy that's become a rare trait, but it's maybe Josh McDaniels' best trait.
Yep, I love that one. And the other one that I thought was really interesting, a defensive coordinator also noted that Shanahan, and this is Ted writing, Shanahan and McVay have relatively easy third and long drop back concepts to prepare for, whereas McDaniel's drop back menu is much more comprehensive and harder to defend. I think that's a really, really good point. I think McDaniels has a lot more variety, and a lot of that is because of all the conversions of the routes that are within the scheme. But in general, I think that their third down drop back game has a lot more variety within it than the Shanahan and McVay tree.
Right.
And so number 8, I think that the reason why I brought it up is just because it's Patriots, but also because I do think that there's still maybe a smaller groundswell after last year, but I still think that there's a group of people that for some reason just think that Josh McDaniels is not a good play caller and not a good offensive coordinator. So this is people in the league, people he goes up against on a weekly basis, telling you that he's a top 10 play caller in football. There's 32 teams and he's number 8. So he's in the top 4th of the league in play callers, up there with all of my guys. So the Shanahans, the McVays, the Ben Johnsons, he's right up there. So the Patriots offense in really good hands.
Can I just add this too? So after that quote about he doesn't necessarily call the game to have the best offense, a head coach said that?
Yes.
So Ted follows up. Coaches universally agreed with the notion that McDaniel's calling games to win them. He understands situational football, and that's not always the case with some elite play callers. That is such, for years I've been yelling this.
Just can't help himself.
Here are other, because here is
we have 1 minute to go
NFL
on
coaches
the show,
saying
and he
it.
just can't
Here's
help
NFL
it.
coaches saying
He's got to
it.
scratch the itch.
If you're
He's got to give
if you're
the tape.
somebody who's out on McDaniels because they're son of wee woo motion RPOs, we're gonna put the left tackle in motion and that right there, the situational element of it that these other guys still can't do, and frankly don't seem interested in learning.
You saved
is
this for
such
2
a
hours
major,
into the show?
Is such a I didn't see this quote until right now.
We should
is
have
such
we should
a
have led with
major
this.
advantage for the Patriots. That McDaniels' understanding of situational football, it shouldn't be. Anybody who's calling plays in the NFL should understand situational football, but they don't. That is such a major advantage for the Patriots. Do not sleep on that.
This is not college football where there's a committee that decides who the 12 best teams are and they go into a playoff.
Right.
This is the NFL where wins and losses is what decides who makes the playoffs.
I thought
It's
you were
not
going to say
about-
this isn't college football where the coaches
this
don't
isn't-
understand the situations.
No,
but
this isn't the BCS, right?
Yeah.
We're not
There's no
grading
style
teams on
points.
style points. Just win, baby. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So Patriots offense in good hands. Next week, we'll be back on Catch-22. There is practice on Wednesday next week from 10 to 11:30 is
so
what is scheduled.
Probably be a little later.
So we'll probably be a little later in the day on that day, but it is a walkthrough, so hopefully not too much later in the day. But we'll keep you updated on that. I think we said 2:30 maybe as a tip
probably.
time, so maybe around 2:30ish. So we'll keep you updated. Just bear with us for the live show because we do have training camp that Alex and I need to cover and need to report on. So there's a lot of moving parts during the training camp time of year. Patriots Unfiltered, hopefully tomorrow during practice if we don't get rained out and moved inside. So we'll keep you updated on Patriots.com with that as well. But we'll be back on this show next week on Wednesday, a little bit later on in the afternoon. We'll see you guys then.
Hey, this is Deuce. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else that we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.